You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Hey everyone, welcome inside a special year-end edition of the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com. I am your host, Tyler Mon, giving Sam Dykstra the week off this week. So my apologies to you that you were stuck with only me. But for our final edition of the show this year, we wanted to take a look back at some of the best of 2017 from the podcast. And so in this episode, you'll hear from players who rocketed through the minors, made their big league debuts, guys who put themselves on the prospect map, athletes with powerful personal stories away from the field, all kinds of stuff coming up on the show today. 2017 season really taught us a lot in baseball, including that homegrown systems like the Houston Astros continue to prove their mettle in the modern-day big leagues, and the guys you hear on this very podcast are a lot of the guys who will be making big impacts in the big leagues in pretty short order. We were joined by a lot of newsmakers from around the minor leagues this season, our third year of the Show Before the Show podcast, and it's been our absolute pleasure to bring this show to you each and every week for the last 3 years and get a chance to talk with some of those future stars in the world of baseball. And so let's get it started. We'll hear from a bunch of those guys this week on this lengthy special edition, and we'll kick things off all the way back in spring training, and a guy who was somewhat in the headlines in the last couple of weeks. The Tampa Bay Rays, of course, made a trade, shipped Evan Longoria, their longtime franchise cornerstone and third baseman, out to the San Francisco Giants. In exchange for him, they acquired former top Giants prospect Christian Arroyo. So Christian Arroyo will now likely factor in on the left side of the infield with this guy, Willy Adames, who joined us from spring training back on episode number 98 to talk about some of his roots in baseball in the Dominican Republic, getting started on the 2017 season, and a whole lot more. Top-rated prospect in the Rays system, Willy Adames, joins us from Florida. Willy, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm great.
It's good to talk to you. This is obviously a very exciting time of year for everybody, but it's got to be a really exciting time of year for you. Last year, really good season at Double-A Montgomery. You're 21 years old coming into this year. There are very big things on the horizon for you. I mean, at this point right now in February, how exciting of a time is this for you to know, this could be Triple-A, this could be your big league debut season. How much fun are you having right now getting this underway?
It's excited to be here, man. My first big league camp in spring training. It's been great. I've been working out with Miller a lot, talking a lot. Just getting some advice that they given to me. It's been a lot of fun. This upcoming year, I think it's gonna be great.
Willy, what's the biggest difference so far in Major League camp versus what you've been through in minor league camps in seasons past? Because for people who are unfamiliar, your report dates, your workouts, the exposure to the coaching staff that you get is all different. What's been the biggest difference for you in Major League camp?
I mean, it's like, for me, the difference, like they work a lot in the little things, like fundamental stuff and all that. And when they are catching ground balls, they don't miss ground balls. They have fun every day. And the coaches and staff, they really good. They always got their eyes on you and telling you what you have to do. I think it's they pretty good.
And Willy, how did you kind of approach this spring training? What were you working on in the off season? I mean, we all know the Rays, added you to the 40-man, back in November. So that seems like a pretty big career milestone. But in terms of, being close to the majors and that kind of thing, how do you approach this spring training?
I've been working a lot on my defense, so because I have to get better on my defense, so that way I can get quicker to the big leagues. And this past January, I was working out with Chris Archer in St. Pete, and it was fun, man. I mean, it was a great experience to be with Archer working out. He was showing me up like how the big league is working, and I think it was fun, man.
How did that come about? How did you end up working with Archer? Did he reach out to you? Did you reach out to him? How did that kind
Yeah,
of
no,
partnership
he
work?
reached out he reached out to me in the off season. He told me that he want me to come earlier this year, so that way he can show me around and he can he can like kind of like teach me how the big leaguers working out.
So what was the biggest thing you learned from him, during those workouts?
Uh, like how hard he work and how concentrate is is he during the workouts, and his personality, man, is unbelievable. That's the most thing that I got from him, like his personality. I love that, man, from him.
Willie's coming off a huge year last year with Double A Montgomery, an MILB.com organization All-Star, a postseason All-Star, a midseason All-Star selection in the Southern League, and a Futures Game selection as well. And Willie, this is right now, I mean, you kind of get to focus on your time with the Rays, your future with the Rays, and being a guy that an organization is very excited about. But this time a few years ago, you were a guy getting adjusted to a new organization, signed by the Tigers. You make the jump to the States and to professional ball in the U.S. at 18 years old. And then in your first season in the U.S., you get traded at the deadline, part of the David Price deal back in 2014. What was that like? I mean, you're here for the first time playing. You're in West Michigan. You get to stay in the Midwest League, which is nice. But 18 years old, you get traded. You're in a new organization. Take us back to that. What was that like for you?
Uh, I wasn't expecting that. Like I wasn't thinking about that at all, cause it was my first year here, and I was like, oh no, I just gotta play baseball. I just gotta do what I have to do. And when they told me that, when they called me that I got traded, I was like, what? I got surprised because I wasn't expecting that, and I started crying because like I spent like 2 years with the Tigers over there in Dominican, and I had like my guys over there in the Tigers, so I was like, oh man, I don't know anybody in the race. Now I gotta make like my new guys, and I gotta make my family over there, and you know how it is. But then like when I got here, like one of my buddies from Dominican, he was here, so that helped me. And then like when the time it was passing away, I was like, okay, I feel good here, and I start to know like everybody, and I feel good now.
When you look back on that season, Willie, coming over, it's not a common thing for an organization to jump guys over the low levels, especially when bringing them over from the Dominican Republic. But you played in the DSL in 2013, and then you skip the Gulf Coast League, you skip the New York Penn League and the Connecticut Tigers, and you go right to Midwest League. At 18 years old, to be in full season ball, what was the toughest thing about that adjustment, going from playing 60 games in the DSL the summer before to 125 games in 2014?
It was tough, man. It was hard because in the Midwest League it's cold, and I never been in the weather like that. So in the beginning of the season, I was like, oh my god, what is this? So so I had to make that adjustment and learn about like you got to play no matter what, like no matter where you at and no matter what the weather is, and by that time I didn't know that because I was so young that I was just thinking about like I have to do good because they don't know me and this is my first year here. I got to impress everybody. But in the beginning of the season, but like then I had like two Latin guys in the team that they was helping me and they was telling me like they was giving me advices, and I was like, oh okay, and I started learning from them.
And Willie, if we could even jump further back than that, because we don't get a chance to have many guys, who don't go through the draft process. And obviously, coming out of the Dominican Republic, you were signed by the Tigers before that for, I think it was $420,000. What was that process like? Being a young teenager, having these teams kind of come after you, throwing signing bonuses at you, whatever. What was that process like, and why did you end up choosing the Tigers in the first place when you were first going through that?
Uh, I mean, that process is hard too, because you work every day and you have no day off, cause you just want to get signed. And I choose the Tiger because I felt comfortable with them. I was like going to the academy of the Tigers over there, like maybe like every 3 months. I was going to the academy, so like I knew everybody over there. So I was like, oh, I feel good here. So I can choose this team, and I can just do what I have to do here, and then see what happens. And I choose the Tigers, and they help me, and they teach me a lot. And like in Dominican, for the young guys like that, they just want to get signed, bro. Like it's hard, but it's fun at the same time.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So kind of, we'll flash forward back to the present. One thing that kind of stood out to me about your 2016 season was the way you kind of put on some power. You hit 11 home runs last year. You hit 31 doubles. What kind of went into your power jump last year? And I guess to tie it back to the previous thing, how are you kind of a different player now than you were when the Tigers first signed you in the Dominican?
I think because I got more experience now, so I got like my approach in the home plate is better now. I'm choosing, like, I'm taking better pitches now, and I'm just like swinging the bat, and don't thinking in anything when I'm in the home plate. So I think that helped me last year, and my manager, oh my God, Brady Wheeler, I love him. He was all the time like in like with his eyes on me and telling me when I was doing something bad. He always took me to the cage with the hitting coach and the man, and they always were like helping me every day. So I think that was the point that I why I had that season last year.
Willie last year led the Southern League with 74 walks and ranked third in the league with 31 doubles. And like I said, all those Southern League accolades and All-Star honors and MILB.com organization All-Star honors and stuff. And that's all fun. But there's one thing that I really wanted to ask you about, Willie, because, again, this is not a topic that we get to discuss much. But you went back, played a little bit in the Dominican Winter League this year for the Tigres del Licey. And people here, I don't think really get what the Dominican Winter League is like, or what the Venezuelan Winter League is like, or the Mexican Pacific Winter League, because it's such a different atmosphere of baseball. And I know for you guys growing up, that's the dream in a lot of cases, is to play in those leagues, to play in front of those big sellout crowds, loud, boisterous crowds, all 9 innings. To go back, you played 10 games this year for Tigres. What was that experience like for you?
It was great, man. I mean, even I didn't do good over there, but it was fun because you play in front of your people and everybody that knows you, and it's just you're just excited to play there because like you say, it's like the dream for us in Dominican. Like you want to play in front of your people, but like the league over there is hard. It's because the people over there, they got experience, they old, and it's competitive. And like I say, I just had fun over there, and I think it was great because we win the championship, and I'm getting a ring.
I was going to cap that off. I mean, that's obviously got to be a pretty fun way to wrap things up. And the crazy thing is, too, that's a 9-game series, and it's Licey and Aguilas in that series. Licey ends up winning 5 games to 4 games. The playoffs in the Dominican Winter League start December 27th, and they ended January 28th. It's a whole month of playoffs. I mean, to be a part of that, to be on a roster and go through a run like that, did you get a chance to be there for the championship game, that final matchup on January 28th?
No, because I was here already.
So were you watching it? Like, were you online? Did you get a chance to follow it at all?
Of course, man. I had to watch that game. Of course I had to.
So are you just in a hotel room in St. Pete going nuts, screaming like a crazy person watching that game?
Of course, man. I was getting crazy, man, because it's fun to see your team winning. It's always fun.
A 5-4 series win in 9 games. And Willie, one of the things that that everybody I know in the Rays organization loves about you, and a big scouting report thing about you, is character, personality, and your leadership qualities. And a huge thing with that is the fact that you took to English very quickly and are fluent in English. What was that for, being a guy who you're still so young, and having to learn that at such a young age while also playing baseball alongside that? It's not like you get a chance to just go to school and study for a full semester or whatever it is to learn a language. How did that come about for you, and how do you think that's helped you get acclimated to, not only being in the Rays organization, but the trade and coming over to the Midwest League at 18? How is that whole thing falling together for you?
I mean, to learn English for me is very important because, I'm here in the United States, so they speak English, so I have to learn English here. So when I was in the Tigers in the Midwest season, I was like, I didn't know English at that time, and I was telling to my teammates that helped me, like every time that I say something wrong, like, hey, correct me, it helped me, tell me what I like how I have to say the word, and that thing helped me a lot. Because now I can communicate with my teammates here and like do some interview like that, like what we're doing right now. It was hard, but it's fun. And my personality, I'm just trying to be a good guy, I'm just trying to be a good teammate and help the young guys, the youngest guy, and trying to be a good person. That's it.
All right. Well, I've just got 2 more quick, and then we'll kind of wrap it up there. But you brought up before how you've been working on your defense, and at shortstop. That's obviously one of the tougher positions defensively. What kind of work do you think you need to kind of put in, and what have the Rays talked to you about in terms of sticking at shortstop, and what you need to do to kind of take your game to the next level there?
I mean, they just been telling me that I just have to make like the routine plays, and I've been working on that, trying to make every routine play in the practice, trying to make every throw in the chest to the first base, and because that was my that's my delivery, because I have to get better on that. My accuracy is not good throwing to first base, so I've been working a lot on that.
And just kind of ending on this, this now that you are part of the 40 man, you are going to be part of the major league conversation. That's why you're there, at major league camp in spring training. Tampa Bay kind of has an interesting situation at short with just so many guys who have played there in the past, between Matt Duffy, Brad Miller, Nick Franklin, Beckham, yourself. You go down the list. How is it kind of playing, in that position in camp, and how do you kind of see yourself fitting into that situation in the organization?
I mean, just like doing what I have to do to be there, just trying to do my best and let them do their job, and whenever they need me, they're gonna call me and I'm gonna be there. So I'm just trying to be competitive and trying to have fun with those guys and learn from them, and trying to make myself like best every day, better and better.
Willie Adames, the top-ranked prospect in the Tampa Bay Rays organization, is on Twitter. He is at WillieA02, and as he said, one of the good guys, trying to be a good person. We need more people like that in the world, Willie, and this has been a ton of fun for us to get a chance to talk to you, and congrats on all success last season in Montgomery, and this year Durham or Tampa, wherever it takes you. We'll be watching, and best of luck the rest of spring training and into the season.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Guys like Willie Adames, top prospects, could be ticketed for long careers in the big leagues. And there are guys on the other end of that prospect spectrum who sometimes make headlines for just all kinds of crazy reasons. And one of those was the Pittsburgh Pirates' John Borman, who earlier this year made his major league debut and was up in the big leagues under crazy circumstances that he never expected, made it to the major leagues for one day, and then headed back to the minors and joined us to talk about that wild experience. Well, if you go to the MILB.com player page for one John Borman, you will find, as of this past week, on April 30th, 2017, this line, quote, Pittsburgh Pirates selected the contract of catcher John Borman from Bradenton Marauders. And then as of May 1st, quote, Pittsburgh Pirates option catcher John Borman to Bradenton Marauders. And with that, we welcome in one of the most famous big leaguers of the last week, John Borman. John, welcome. How are you?
Guys, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
This is such a crazy story, and we're so excited to get a chance to talk to you and have you on. If for those who do not know, John, this past weekend was all set to get ready for a Marauders game, taking on, it was a road trip to Charlotte for 3 games, the 28th to the 30th, and then starting a series, actually a Sunday start date, or a Monday start date for a series at St. Lucie. But this weekend, you go to the ballpark, you get called in and told that you're jumping from Class A advanced to the big leagues. Take us through this story.
Well, I was excited. I was in the lineup. I was getting to catch one of our prospects that Sunday day game. So I had just come in from BP. We hit in the cage that day. I was taking a shower, putting my uniform on, and our assistant GM, Kyle Stark, was there watching this and making some notes. And so he came out of the office and said, John, I need to talk to you for a minute. So I'm on my way into the office, and I hear our manager here, Alvarez. As I'm passing by, I hear him talking to Kevin Krause, who's also a listed catcher on the team, about catching Mitch Keller. So I'm thinking, maybe I'm either going up or down here, and maybe I'm going to Altoona. Maybe somebody got banged up ahead of me, and they need somebody today or tomorrow. So I'm sitting down in the office. It's Kyle Stark, it's manager Hera. And a couple of front office guys that were in town. And Kyle Starks starts to tell me, hey, we need you in Miami. And I'm thinking, I think, maybe he's got some different plan. Maybe I'm going to Altoona. He said, no, Cervelli was banged up. Couldn't go his last minute. You're going to the big leagues. And so I don't really recall the rest of the conversation from there, man. My heart started beating real fast, started sweating, and I just had this huge smile on my face. Shook everybody's hand in there and booked it over to my locker that we had and started packing up all my stuff really fast. And here Alvarez came out and made the announcement to the clubhouse that I was going to be a big leaguer, and the place just erupted, man. It was awesome. I started getting everybody hugs, and at that point, I started having tears rolling down my face, just because it was such an emotional moment. Guys were so happy for me, man. That some guys were crying with me, and it's just a great experience.
And what was that drive like? I mean, we've read some of the stories of, you're going from, I think, the West Coast of Florida to the East Coast of Florida, trying to make it for your first major league game. I mean, that's got to be the best road trip of your life. But what was it like just getting to the park?
Oh, man, it was incredible. So we got the news at about noon, and they had a 1:00 game, and that's a 3-hour drive. Well, Adam Godwin, the assistant coach here in Bradenton, they also needed him. So we hop in our field coordinator's rental, who was there to also watch us. We hop in his rental, and we make the 3-hour drive in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. I won't tell you how fast we were going, but yeah, we made it in I think the bottom of the 3rd inning. And I tell you what, we were listening to it, or we pulled it up. Our phones were starting to die from all the phone calls and texts. We needed the GPS to get into Miami, and I can't make this up, man. We were running out of gas. We literally, on the way back home, 3 miles into the trip, the light comes on. Hey, you guys should probably get some gas. So we were sweating the last 10 miles. Like, man, please, we're not stopping. We're going to go out and hitchhike or something. We're not going to a gas station. So we get there. We're not 100% sure where to go. We know we're looking for the Diamond Club. We pull into this parking garage, and they won't let us in because we got to have a pass. So we get out of the car, and I forget who comes out. Somebody came out with the clubby, and they're waving at us. They came over to where we were. They said somebody was coming out to get us a pass to park the car in that garage right there. And I hopped the fence and hustled into into the clubhouse, and so I meet Bones the clubby in the clubhouse. He's got all my uniform and everything laid out for me. I hustle over, set my bag down. I start to change, and Greg Johnson, I believe is his name, comes over with the contract for me. So as I'm changing, I'm signing a contract. You know, I it's probably the worst signatures in my life, but it doesn't really matter at this point. You know, so I'm signing the contract, and I'd say, you know, within 3 or 4 minutes of me being in the clubhouse, I was heading down the tunnel into the dugout.
So where were they in the game? So you get there, obviously it was a 1 o'clock first pitch. What was are you alone in the clubhouse at that moment? Like, what was the game scenario?
So I walk into the clubhouse, and Danny Ortiz is in there. The guy optioned to AAA to make room for me. I think there were a couple guys in the training room, but really there was nobody in there. They were in the 3rd inning already, so I got down there in the 4th. I don't really remember the 4th inning at all, just because I walked down the tunnel and run into Tom Prince, who's the bench coach, who I knew pretty well. He was our field coordinator last year, so I spent a lot of time with him. Shook his hand, said hello, and he told me to go say hi to Clint, so I hustled over to say hi to Clint, and then I went back to Princey, and he instructed me to go talk to KB, the first base coach, Kamir Barti, or Joey Cora, to get the signs, and then I hustled back upstairs to get signs from Cervelli that the catchers were using, who was in the training room getting some treatment, and then I ran back down and just started to soak it all in, man. I looked around for a while, had a chance to sit down between Jameson Tyon and Frazier and Glasnow, those guys that were on the bench. Get to have a little conversation with them and soak it in. The park's incredible in Miami. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but that's state-of-the-art stuff. There's a reason the All-Star Game's being held there for sure. But
a little different than the FSL, is that what you're saying? A little different than Florida State League?
You got that right, man. For many reasons, our manager, my first manager in pro ball, Edgar Varela, is here today, watching us play. He's got a new title, but he's here today. And I said, man, from Bristol to the show, because I played in Bristol, Virginia, in the Appalachian League.
Yeah, that's
so I was just reflecting on that. Yeah, last night we're in the dugout, and I get the day off. And I'm looking around, there's probably 45 people there. And then just yesterday I was playing in front of, I don't know how many, 25,000 probably in a dome. I mean, it was quite a change of scenery.
Well, you did get a chance to pinch hit in that 9th inning. You got, your one at bat. They at least made it worth your while to hustle across the state like that. What are you thinking when you're stepping up? What is that conversation with Hurdle like, saying you're going to be hitting this inning? I mean, just take us through that one piece of action you got to see.
Sure. So it's the bottom of the 8th inning. I'm putting my stuff on because Stewart is up to bat, and I'm going to pick him up between innings to go warm up the pitcher. And McCutcheon is sitting next to my stuff. Gift Ngope, the first player from the continent of Africa. You guys might have done a story on him.
Yeah,
and
we were
then
actually
Josh
just talking
Harrison
about him
is
a
on the
little
other
bit.
side of him. Yeah, Gift, great guy. So all those guys, I mean, so I'm putting my stuff on, and I kind of make eye contact with Jay, and he's looking at me like, kind of making a face like, hey, you getting in there? And I shake my head. I was like, no, man, no. And then he makes this gesture to me, kind of pounds his fist together like I might get an AB. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. I ran back out, and I warmed up Johnny Barbado, who we just got from the Yankees. And I hustle back in the dugout, take my stuff off, put my hat back on because I don't have very good hair. So throw the hat back on, go up to the rail. Yeah, man, I don't have that show hair, that flow. But throw the hat back on, go up to the rail, and I can hear to my left. I hear Tom Prince say, "All right, I'll tell him." I'm like, "Oh man, here we go." And then I see him out of the corner of my eye walking up, and he says, "Hey, you're gonna hit in the 9th." And so from there on, I hustled over to grab my batting gloves, and I got to wear one flat helmet, man. I'd never had one of those on before. That was quite an experience as well. Feels
That's
a little
awesome.
different, but
grab my stuff and I head down into the tunnel. And I don't know why, I didn't even think to go to the cages to get some swings in and actually see a moving ball. But grabbed my bat and just took probably 30 dry hacks in the tunnel, make sure I was loose. And then come back up. He wasn't sure where I was going to hit in the lineup. But he goes, all right, hey, you're going to hit third. And so I walk over to the lineup card to see where we're at. And he counts it out for me. 1, 2, 3. He goes back up to the top of the order, hitting for Harrison. And man, it was awesome. I was asking him, Tom Princess is, before I got up to the on deck circle, I said, man, what do you got for me? And he said the coolest thing, man. He said, just listen to him call your name. And
That's awesome.
That hit home for me, man. Yeah. I mean, so I'm on the on deck circle. I'm kind of relaxed now, just hearing that. You know, I really didn't care what happened. I mean, it would have been great to get a knock in the bigs, my first AB, but just to get on the on deck circle, get loose there, you know, get my timing down, and then you know, Jose Ozuna, who just got up to the big leagues as well, making a huge impact. Hits a double in front of me, so I'm in an RBI situation there. So I'm walking up. And I'm zoned out. I don't really see anything. I'm just listening to the PA announcer, and he goes, pinch hitting, making his major league debut, number 64, John Borman. And I don't know how many people clapped or whatever. It doesn't matter. I heard a little roar. That counts. But AJ Ellis did the coolest thing. He walked out for me to the mound, and he gave me that moment at home plate by myself. Just the respect was unbelievable that I received right there. And so he probably told him to give me a cookie, throw a heater right down the middle, you know, trying to give the kid a chance. But, so he comes back, and I dig into the box, man, and I got a heater, had some pretty good sync on it. And Jarlin Garcia was the guy that I faced. I think he was a top prospect for him, that just made it up maybe last year. But it was a nasty lefty, 95, you know, the whole deal. He's a big league guy. Gave me one to hit, and I took a really good swing at it, man. I didn't get cheated, and just fouled it straight back into Ellis. And then I had some really good takes in there. I was proud of the takes. Some really, really close balls. I got myself into a 2-1 count and just expanded down just a little. I was sitting heater. I got the heater, and I wasn't gonna look at those. And then 2-2 count, threw me a changeup that I don't know, man. You can look at the film, but it probably moved 2 feet in my eyes.
Of course,
it looked good, but I waved at it in strike 3. But I got my big league AB. I got to play in the big league game. I got a stat that's going to go in the baseball almanac, But I walked back to the dugout. Probably the best I've felt after a strikeout for sure. But walked down, and throw my batting gloves and helmet back off in the rack there, and Gift standing there, kind of pats me, and then out of nowhere, here comes Jordy Mercer. Gives me a huge hug, pats me on the head, and then David Freese and Yvonne Noah. I mean, all these guys just going up and just huge smiles, kind of picked me up. They're so happy for me that I got that chance, and I felt inclined to tell Josh Harrison thank you for giving up his AB. I'm not sure if he gave it up or whatever happened, but just a classy move for them. And you can't say enough about those guys, the way they welcomed me. I wasn't a guy that was in big league camp. I've been over a couple times as just a just in case guy in the spring training games. So I had gotten to talk to him a little bit then, but just the welcoming that I received from the guys that have been established in the big leagues was incredible. And to have them invested in my career right there in that moment and put their own, whatever they got going aside. It was an awesome feeling. It was a first class move by the Pirates, man. I can't say enough about the Pirates organization from top to bottom, just first class individuals. They're training the men and not just the player. And so, I can't say enough about them, honestly.
That is incredible, man. I mean, the AJ Ellis component of that story alone gives you goosebumps for a lifetime. And I mean, for you, John, at this stage, and now it's a circumstance that puts you on the radar. I mean, you're a 40-man guy now, and the Pirates obviously know what they have in you and know that you are somebody who could be called upon in a circumstance like that, given a very unique circumstance, but it's something that they trusted you with, which doesn't happen with just everybody. I mean, especially guys who are, only in their third year in pro ball. John was a 24th round pick back in 2015 out of UTSA, Texas San Antonio. So at this stage, John, I mean, you get that as sort of a boost at the end of the first month of a season, and then you get sent back to high A. And now being where you are in this spot with Bradenton, I mean, well, tell us about, I guess, the process of when they let you know that you were going to be headed back, and then getting back in with your Marauders teammates. What has that been like, and how do you kind of mentally, how do you wrap yourself around what that was like over the last couple of days, and now what you have to do going forward in this minor league season?
Sure. Well, after the game wrapped up, had an interview on the field, and I actually was lucky enough to have my roommate last year in West Virginia on the West Virginia Power, who is no longer with the Pirates organization, but he was living in Miami, and he got to go to the game. So right after that interview on the field, I went and say hi to him, and it was all smiles there. Head back up into the clubhouse and start getting undressed, pack my stuff up because the guys are eating and packing up, going to Cincinnati. Clint comes up from behind me and says, "Hey, nice job, but we're sending you down." Nice job, but we got to send you back. And I'm like, "Oh man, I understand." He gave me a big hug. And then from then on, guys were coming up. I got interviewed by, I don't know how many guys, 10, 15 people. I can see Garrett Cole out of this corner of my eye, just standing there smiling, listening. It was pretty cool. After the interviews, Garrett Cole, he's like, "Hey, have you eaten yet? Like, what are you doing?" And I said, "No, I'm wearing a cutoff shirt. I don't have any, shorts on." And he's like, "Come on, let's go." And I said, can I go like this?" "Yeah, absolutely. Do what you want." So we walk into the food room, he grabs me a beer, pops it open, hands it to me, and then tells me to just get whatever I want. And we're having, rice and beans, chicken that's falling off the bone, some oxtail, shrimp, all, anything you can imagine. So I served myself a plate. I sit down with David Freese and Tony Watson and Phil Gosselin, sit there and just have a conversation, like I was one of the guys. They're talking about heading to Cincinnati and how the cake was dry, just awesome stuff that I'll never forget. Josh Harrison gave me 2 bats. Cole gave me a cigar. Trevor Williams, who threw that day, gave me a bag of cigar. I mean, just to celebrate that moment. And I had guys coming up, Tony Watson coming up, and all sorts of guys coming up saying, "Nice job. Thanks for helping out."
And John, I just kind of, I'm wondering with a situation like this, with it's a 1-game cameo, I mean, what do you get to keep other than the memory, which is going to last forever? And thankfully we live in the time of TV. So you always have that evidence somewhere, that this happened at the very least, God willing, you get another chance in the next couple of years or even this season. But what souvenirs did you take away from this?
Sure. So Bones helped me out, got everything authenticated with a little sticker on it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Awesome.
I got to keep the jersey with my name on it. I got the hat. I got that tossed out the ball that I fouled off into Ellis. So I got that. I've got the big lineup card that hangs in the dugout with my name written in on it. I've got the 2 little ones that are exchanged before the games, I think. And one of them has Don Mattingly's signature on it, which is really cool. The other one, Clint wrote on it, "Next man up, congrats."
That's awesome.
Clint Hurdle, and next man up theme is something that's huge with the Pirates. So I get to keep that. I took I don't know if I was supposed to, but I took the nameplate from above the locker in Miami, number 64 on it.
There's not a person in the world who would try to take that back from you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, they were going to have to hurt me to get it away from me for sure.
Darn right.
So we get back. I think the club, the big leaguers probably beat us to Cincinnati. It took us a little while to get home. But we got back about 10:30, and I pulled all my stuff, and I left that stuff in the clubhouse overnight just so I could show the guys the next day, and everybody was just so excited. I heard stories. They said they pulled up the AB on their phones and stuff on the computers on the bus, and I guess somebody, maybe Gage Hens, one of our starting pitchers, said he's going in, and from there the bus just erupted. Guys are flying to the front of the bus to try and watch the game on 2 or 3 little phones hanging over the seats. I mean, you can imagine what that looks like. I heard they were going nuts. They said if I would have gotten a knock, the bus probably would have tipped over. I can't say enough about these guys either, man. My teammates are pretty special to me. The role that I'm in here in A-ball is not ideal. I want to play every day, but having those guys at the park every day is what gets me here. Just being there for these guys, and I've realized my dream now, and maybe I can help them reach theirs. So that's my focus now. Definitely want to get back, but I've had my cup of coffee, and I'm hungry for more. I'm thirsty, I guess you would say. I really, looking back at it, I really want to touch first base. And as funny as that sounds, if I would have put the ball in play anywhere, drop, third, strike, anything, man, I would have ran my best time I've ever run down to first base. So that's my next goal, I guess, moving forwards. Get in the game and go touch first base.
That is awesome. That's amazing. John, this has been one of the coolest conversations that we've had on the show, and it's such a unique story, and congratulations to you. Obviously, a guy who really deserves it, and we definitely hope that it's not the last time you see a big league field and you get to touch first base a whole lot in your career, man. Congratulations on this, and thanks a ton for sharing the story with us. It's something that we'll never forget, and you can continue to spread that gospel to the rest of the guys in that Bradenton clubhouse. Congratulations, man.
Thank you guys so much. It was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity I'll never forget.
It was obviously one heck of a year to be a Houston Astros fan, and it wasn't just at the major league level where the success culminated with winning the World Series for the first time in franchise history, but at the minor league level, the Astros continued graduating talent like they've done so much in recent years. They also continued developing talent at the lower levels, and one of those guys who really put his name on the map in his first full professional season was pitcher Forrest Whitley, who joined us to talk about his first full campaign and his time in the Astros organization so far.
Is Houston's number 5 overall prospect, Forrest Whitley, the right-hander who joins us. Forrest, welcome to the show. How are things?
Things are good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for joining us. So this has been, let's say, a decent start to your Carolina League career. 3 starts, an ERA of 0.57 at the Class A advanced level, 8 hits allowed in 15 2/3, 24 strikeouts against 2 walks. Baseball's supposed to get more difficult as you climb the ladder. Did nobody explain that to you?
No, they did.
What has enabled this in the Carolina League? I mean, the numbers were great in Quad Cities, and we'll talk about that, but this has been really eye-opening so far.
Yeah, the thing that I can just attribute that most to is just being able to translate my performance in the Midwest League over to the Carolina League. I feel like with the things that I'm able to do, I'm able to kind of translate that anywhere I could go. So, things have just obviously worked out in that manner, and just plan on keeping it going.
And what was that conversation like when they decided to move you that quickly? I mean, was this even a goal of yours coming into the year? Because mostly, when you know it's going to be your first full season, and you're starting out Class A, some organizations like to keep guys, your age, only being 19, at one place all year, just get you super comfortable. So what was that conversation like when they wanted to move you as quick as they did?
To be completely honest with you, like I was very surprised. It was from like a commuter bus trip, and they told me I was going up at the end of that bus trip, and I was in shock. I was not expecting to get moved that quickly. But yeah, things ended up working out. Left the next day, and here I am.
And take us through your approach to this first full season. You get taken in the first round last year by the Astros, going to a system that's obviously on the rise, a major league organization that's on the rise, having a really good year this year. They start you out in April. Some organizations have started their first-round pitchers, later. They held them back and extended, something like that. You're coming right out of the gate. What was your approach to your first full season, and what were your expectations?
My expectations, they weren't too big. Just coming in and pitching wherever they place me. I trust these guys a lot and what they're doing with me. So just perform to the best of my ability wherever they stick me, and see where I end up. And as far as like personal goals, just limit the walks, limit the hits, limit base runners altogether, and just get ahead in the count, limit your pitches per outing. And those are just a couple of things that I've been working on so far this year, and they've been working out.
Forrest made 12 appearances with Class A Quad Cities in the Midwest League to start the year, a 2.91 ERA over that span of time, and 67 strikeouts and 46 in the third innings. The strikeout numbers really jump off the page this year. Combined in 62 innings, it's 91 Ks against 23 walks. What do you think it is about your arsenal? I mean, you've got 4 very well-graded pitches, and guys, especially at the Class A level, are still learning in large part how to mix, how to attack hitters, game plans, all that type of stuff. What do you think has enabled that's been so difficult for hitters to key on from what you've been able to approach them with over 2 levels?
I really think it's just the change of speeds that's really the difference maker. And, lately my changeup's just been a lot lower speed than it had been previously to this year. It's almost like a 12 to 15 mile an hour difference. So, I think that's another thing. And I think just the speed differential all around my arsenal is pretty solid. They're all different speeds, and I think that's just that's the main thing is keeping the hitters off balance is the change in speeds in all my pitches.
Forrest, let me ask you this question. You were the 17th overall pick last year. According to MLB Pipeline, this is a crazy transformation over your 4 years in high school. You were under 6 feet tall, and according to their scouting write-up, had a fastball in the mid-70s when you got to high school, and by your sophomore year, you were 6'7" and throwing in the low 90s. Is that right?
Yes, that is true.
How on earth, did your bones hurt? How does a human being grow that fast?
Yeah, so what happened was when I was going into high school my first semester, I was around 5'11", 6 foot, didn't have a whole lot of muscle on me, and then second semester I grew to about 6'5", and that was honestly pretty painful. Had a lot of growing pains, and it was really awkward. That's insane. Yeah, it was nuts, man.
So how did the baseball arsenal come along with that? I mean, obviously there's going to be so many different physiological changes as a ball player throughout your 4 years of development in high school, but to condense that all down into one semester, the thing that's so difficult about it from a pitcher's standpoint is repeating your mechanics is difficult enough as a pitcher, but if you're going from 5'11" to 6'5" and then on to 6'7", that's I would imagine, an extremely difficult challenge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can really attribute that to my pitching coach, Dave Smith, back home. I mean, he's the guy that I got with when I was 12, 13 years old, and I've been working with him ever since. And he's been really good to me, and we still talk all the time. He's a good person to have in my ear, and I really attribute most of that success to him because he's the one who really helped me out in that aspect.
And at one point, did it feel like things were kind of clicking with that kind of stuff? I mean, were you taking it to a radar gun every day just to see how things were progressing? Or when did you know you were throwing as hard as you are at that young age?
Well, how it went, I didn't start playing travel ball until my sophomore year of high school, going into junior year. So I did a couple tournaments, and I heard some readings in the mid 80s, and I was like, wow, maybe I can get a college baseball scholarship, if I pursue this in a summer baseball showcase. So I pretty much begged my dad to put me on a summer baseball team, and he did it. And so that summer before junior year, I ended up touching 90 a couple times. This is before sophomore year, I apologize. I ended up touching 90 a couple times. I went to the area code tryout and had a good showing there. So I was able to get my name out to colleges and a couple of pro scouts. And then once that high school season rolled around, I was able to, sit more comfortably in the low 90s and get a little bit higher. And then, once that summer before senior year rolled around, everything just started to click. The only thing that was setting me back a little bit was my weight. So I took off a little bit of weight. And after senior year, body started to come together. So did my pitchability. So everything started to click right around then.
So I guess I got to ask the obvious follow-up. How much are you texting your dad just "I told you so" is it a daily basis? Is it a weekly basis?
He's a pretty strong supporter now, so I don't give him
I
a
would
whole
hope
lot
so.
of crap
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I don't blame him. But we were talking about mechanics before, and working with your long levers and all that kind of stuff. One thing I've read is that you've worked exclusively out of the stretch at this point. Is that a thing that's going to stick with you, or is this just kind of a training mechanism at this point?
It's going to stick with me as long as it keeps working. It's been working ever since I've been having success in the Midwest League up until this point. So I'm not going to change anything. It's going to work. So we'll see.
Yeah. What do you think about that translates so well?
I think it's just the limiting the moving parts is the main thing. It's really helping. Like, obviously I have long levers, so a wind-up delivery is a little bit harder to control than a guy that would be 6 foot. So just limiting the movement and just simplifying my mechanics a little bit helped with my location. So ended up working out.
And one thing I always like to talk to, especially first-year guys, you're used to, in high school, going as deep as you need to, trying to win games. Obviously, now it's about development, and they've got a pretty good cap on you in terms of pitches and innings for the season and all that kind of stuff. When you were first starting the season, you went 5 innings your first time out, but then 3 innings the next time, 2 innings the time after that, so on and so forth. You haven't thrown more than 5 2/3. What is it like knowing, you're going out every 5th or 6th day, but there is going to be that limit on you? Are you trying to pour as much into what you have in those first 5 innings, or are you trying to extend the outing and go as deep as you can?
I'm just trying to treat it like a regular start, like if I was going 9. That's how you got to treat every start. You can't really think too much about the pitch count going to the outing. You just got to focus on going out there and throwing 9 and trusting the guys, the coaching staff to, pull you when it's time and understand that they have a plan for you. So, that's just my mentality. I feel like that's the best mentality going into it, because, I'll eventually be going, whole games, or as long as I could possibly go on the upper level. So, that's just the mentality I have going into it.
Forrest, I want to go back a couple of years in your high school career. In 2015, you remember the United States U18 national team that won the Americans' 3rd consecutive under-18 baseball World Cup in Osaka, Japan. That team went 8-1. You guys beat Japan in the gold medal game, a 2-1 game in front of 15,000 fans at Koshien Stadium. That was an intense competition, an intense tournament, but I would imagine also prepared you for what you would see in pro ball. I mean, you haven't seen any crowds of 15,000 yet in pro ball, but take me back through that experience and what that was like being on a team. I mean, there were a lot of guys on that team that are already in pro ball as well, or playing at a high level collegiately. To have that experience, to have that exposure, and to win a gold medal overseas with United States across your chest, what was that like for you?
Well, I'm going to let you know that was definitely by far the best baseball experience I've had up until this point. I still keep in touch with all those guys. All those guys are really dear friends of mine. So, but yeah, like you said, the competition in that tournament, everything leading up to that point, and the trials, really, really prepared me for what I'm seeing right now. So I completely agree with you in that aspect. And it was truly an unbelievable experience. Travel overseas and play overseas competition with the best guys in the country. That was just like truly a one of a lifetime experience. So it was unreal.
One of the things that stands out about that, kind of in juxtaposition to where you are in your career now, is you're playing in front of massive crowds in that tournament, rabid fans who are supporting the home team in Japan in the gold medal game, and just a very intense atmosphere. You're in a really unique atmosphere in the minor leagues right now in Buies Creek, in that it's a placeholder stop right now for that franchise, which will be moving after a couple of seasons. A very small, very intimate ballpark. You look at things in the Carolina League and you think like, oh man, Buies Creek is only averaging 526 fans per game. That stadium only seats something like 650. So it's a really unique environment. What has that been like, playing in a place that's very different from Quad Cities, very different from what you saw obviously overseas, and really isn't going to be a thing that hangs on for long in the Carolina League. It's kind of a spot where you get to experience something not a whole lot of other guys will.
I'm just kind of taking it for what it is. I think it's pretty cool that I get an opportunity to play at Bowie's Creek, there's only a 2-year window that ever happened. So, I'm just trying to look at the positives to it. And as far as the crowds go, I feel like that's pretty relative. It's not something that bothers me much, and I think it's not really something that bothers the team much either. Once you get into pro ball, you kind of get used to the small crowds. I was able to get used to that last year in the Gulf Coast League, where you'd average like maybe 6 or 7 people a game. So as far as that goes, it doesn't really bug me that much, and I think it's a pretty cool opportunity to play at this place in the way that I'm looking at it.
And kind of sticking with that idea of being at Bowie's Creek, we were talking about moving up as quickly as you have, and you said that was a little bit of a surprise to even you. With the moves that you have made this year, does this change the feel of the trajectory you're on? Do you feel like you can be a quicker climber than even you believed back in February or even March?
Oh, absolutely. This has instilled a ton of confidence in me, and I think the organization, it just showed me that the organization really believes in me and has a lot of confidence in me as well. So, it's a really good thing for my moral, and just couldn't be happier about it. But I guess the most important thing right now is just keep on throwing and trust what they've got going on for me and just keep performing to the best of my ability.
He is Forrest Whitley, the number 5 prospect in the Houston Astros organization and MLB Pipeline's number 71 overall prospect in baseball. And you can find him on Twitter. He is at Forrest Whitley there. And Forrest, continued success. Congratulations on everything so far. And best of luck the rest of the way with Bowie's Creek or wherever you find yourself the rest of this season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Chicago Cubs are coming off of a World Series title in 2016, and this year added a new member to their organization in the 2017 Major League Baseball first-year player draft, who is about a lot more than baseball. Chris Singleton was a 19th round draft selection of the Cubs this year, and people may know him for that, may know him for some of his college ball success at Charleston Southern. But people also may know Chris Singleton as the son of Sharonda Coleman Singleton, who was one of those murdered at the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston back on June 17th of 2015. Chris was kind enough to join the show earlier this summer to talk about his mom and his mom's legacy and his debut in professional baseball and what it is that he hopes to bring forward, not only in his baseball career, but in his life.
Eugene Emerald's outfielder Chris Singleton, who joins us from the Northwest League. Chris, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Thanks for coming on with us. This is your second stop of your debut minor league season, a 19th round pick back in June. Starting the AZL at rookie level, you jump up to Class A short season, 17 games so far with Eugene. What has that transition been like? You go from a college season to a complex league to now a short season league. It's a lot of change. How has the AZL to Northwest League adjustment treated you so far?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of change. It's more games. In the AGL we had some more off days, but here we're playing every single day, so it's definitely been a difference.
Chris, this start to your professional career, you get to join an organization that's coming off a World Series championship and very highly regards you. I know that right after the draft, Jason McLeod, who's one of the Cubs' real gurus in evaluating talent, said you were a 19th round pick, but they had you as a top 10 round talent. To get into an organization that not only is coming off a World Series title, but has shown to be so adept at developing prospects, getting guys to the big leagues and having success, how excited were you when the Cubs were the ones to call your name on draft day?
I was extremely excited, meeting some people in the front office, meeting my managers and the people that have been helping me out with my mechanics and stuff like that so far. It's been great, and I'm eager to see what the process has for me in the upcoming months, with instructs and stuff like that. So I'm really ready to learn.
And what's been the most surprising aspect of pro ball so far? I know you said playing every day in Eugene is a little bit of a wake up, but what about just the pro atmosphere or the pro game itself has surprised you the most?
Yeah. For one, as I said, playing every day is definitely different because, in college you play 3 games in a row, then you have an off day to fix some things. But, with pro ball, you got to fix things right before the game, and there's not as much thinking as you can do in college because these guys are great. these guys are really good, you know. So there's not as much thinking. You got to let your athleticism take over at times. And it's been a little struggle for me. I never really struggled before. When I got called up to Eugene, I think the last probably 6 or 7 games I've been going through it. But my coaches are saying, you know, this is not the first time. This might be the first time it's happened, but it won't be the last time. So I'm really just trying to grind it out and have fun while I'm playing.
And are there any adjustments you've made over this? I mean, it's like you said, it's only a couple of games so far. You do have to allow your athleticism, and reading some of your scouting reports, you've got plenty of athleticism, plenty of speed to work with. Do you make any adjustments this quickly in your pro career, or do you just kind of let it ride out?
We've done some stuff that's felt a little different for me. So just doing the little things like that, it hasn't felt as comfortable as I have in the past. But with these new changes, I feel like once I'm feeling comfortable in the box again, then things are going to go uphill a lot quicker than I think.
Chris, for college guys, coming out of the draft and into a pro season is such an arduous process, because you started playing games February 19th this year for Charleston Southern against West Virginia. You guys debut with a victory. Before that, you're getting ready for the season, prepping and training and off-season work and all that kind of stuff, which obviously you'll be doing as a professional, but you're not getting into game action really until April. So this is a long slog. I mean, to get from a college season through a pro season, how has that affected you just physically and mentally, that grind, and how now playing every day, how do you take care of your body? I mean, for young guys, you know, like guys you played with in college, jumping into this season, how does that change in the way you manage yourself going into everyday activities now in August?
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a long process so far. But one thing that I've had to realize is that I got to keep my legs fresh. Me being an outfielder and I like to show my speed, I have to keep my legs fresh. And one thing we'll do is I'll lift legs a couple times a week just to really get them fresh, get some blood flowing. And so by the time game time comes, you know, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling sluggish in any way. So that's one thing I've had to learn quick since I've started playing pro ball.
By the way, I was reading out the wrong schedule. February 17th was the start of this season for Charleston Southern against Delaware State, not February 19th, so even longer. Sam, take it away.
Yeah, one thing I think I read about you, Chris, was you mentioned you had worked out for the Cubs in a pre-draft workout. What was that experience like, and how many teams did you end up working out for? Because guys who normally go in those middle rounds, you know, you're not always going to pre-draft workouts like that. So what was your kind of experience going into the draft?
Yeah, that was really, really fun. I mean, going up to Wrigley, being able to see that, you know, touch the ivy on the wall, that kind of stuff, I think was amazing. You know, you dream about going to play at parks like that. For me to get that experience, it was awesome. And I think I did really well while I was there.
What was it like walking into that building, knowing not only is this a major league park you're now playing at, but also, you know, you're trying to fight for a job or fight for a potential draft pick? I mean, where was your mind going into that?
Yeah, my mind was, I was actually pretty relaxed. You know, I wanted to just have some fun and soak it all in. I actually stayed after the workout was over. I stayed a little longer just to soak it in some more because of how historical that place is, and I really just soaked it in.
Chris, with the Eugene Emeralds so far in the starts of this season, the Northwest League is kind of its own unique brand in that sometimes we even, I think, forget about the Northwest League and being a Class A short season league that's kind of far removed from everything else. But for you, it's a long ways from home. What has that been like? It's kind of a different pace of life and all that type of stuff. How have you enjoyed Oregon so far?
I've enjoyed it. It's a little cooler than Arizona, so I've got no complaints about the weather. No complaints about the weather, but it's been a lot of fun, and we get a pretty good turnout at our game, so it's cool playing in front of a crowd, because you know in Arizona when you're with the rookie team, then there's really no fans out there. So the first time you play up here and you hear fans screaming, it's kind of awesome.
Well, Chris, let's talk about some of your personal story. As a prospect in the Cubs system now, a longtime baseball talent, and people may have first heard your name under some heartbreaking circumstances a couple of years ago. Chris's mother, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, was one of 9 killed by a gunman at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston. And Chris's father, also named Chris, was a college football player. His mother was a college track athlete. He passed away this February. For those of us who have never had to deal with something that trying, it's unconscionable to imagine what that's like dealing with that twice, with your father passing away this year. But to be where you are right now, to be a professional ball player, everything that your parents wanted, the way that your mom supported you throughout your baseball career, the videos of everybody hits, everybody scores, the chant that she would lead at your high school games, your college games, and that kind of stuff. What do you think your parents would say to you now, seeing you out there manning the outfield in a professional uniform, having signed a contract in an organization that's a world championship club? What would that conversation be like?
Yeah, the conversation would be, well, first of all, it'd be some crying from my mom, just the happy tears, but then they would get to business and say, you're here, but you're not finished yet. That's what they would tell me. They would tell me to keep working hard and keep doing the things that I've done on and off the field. So that'd be something they want to express. My dad was a big baseball fan too, but he never played, so he'd really be in awe of what I've done so far, and he'd be pushing me to keep going and keep furthering my career.
What exactly did you take away from your mother and your time with her? Tyler mentioned she was a track athlete. I heard she was a track coach as well. So obviously you got some of her speed, and that's gotten you to where you are. But what were some of the biggest lessons you took from your mom and your time together while she was here?
Yeah, she taught me a lot of not only my athleticism, but just as a person. She taught me really how to be a man. So I've had to grow up early since she passed away. I've had to grow up at a young age. I've been living by myself since I've been 18 now. But she really just taught me how to be a man and go about my business and respect people and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really blessed that I got the time to spend with her that I did, even though it was cut short. I think I'm still truly blessed to be able to spend 18 years with her.
And how do you kind of carry that to the pro game? I mean, a lot of that, you had a lot of growing up to do at such a young age. You've got 2 younger siblings, a younger brother, a younger sister. Now you're still playing a game and you're trying to start a career at your age. How does that kind of translate to the field or off the field now that you are starting a career?
Yeah, and my brother and sister, they're actually going to start living with me this year. My sister's going to be finishing up her senior year at the high school that my mom taught at and I went to. So I'm very excited about that. And also my little brother's going to live with me. He's 14, about to start high school. So I think that's another blessing that I get to spend so much time with them, because I haven't got to spend as much time with them being away ever since things went down. But I'm really excited for the off season just to get to hang out with my family a lot more.
Chris, there was a terrific profile done on you in the Eugene Register Guard last week that people can find. Austin Meek was the writer behind that story. And, in light of some awful things that we've all had to witness that have been thrust in front of all of our eyes over the last couple of weeks, that conversation came up between you and Austin in that story. Where we sit right now, and we're a baseball podcast, we don't pretend to be experts on what it's like being a kid who grew up in your position in the South, or being somebody who has a view on this from a place like Charleston, where your mother was killed a mile and a half away in the 1930s. They erected a Confederate Defenders of Charleston statue. I mean, when you see all this stuff that's going on right now, a couple years after you lost your mom, what are your thoughts on that? How difficult is that now, being away from home, having your siblings back there, and not necessarily being right in the mix, but still having to see what's been going on?
Yeah, it's especially tough for me, but it's tough for anybody. You look at that stuff on the news, and it makes your stomach turn a little bit, because that's just not right. So I think it's been difficult for me. I've had some thoughts myself, but everybody is probably feeling the same way, if not. Well, probably everybody's probably feeling the same way that I feel about that stuff that's been going on.
And one thing that I particularly, I'll admit I grabbed inspiration from was the way, again, Tyler said some of the ways some people heard your name first was you were one of the first people to forgive the shooter in the Charleston church. How are you able to find the strength to do that in that moment? And, just talk about what that was like in that moment to be able to do that and what you've taken away since from there.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a believer. I believe that Jesus Christ died for my sins, and because of him, I can spend eternal life in heaven. That's one thing that's got me through all this stuff that I've gone through. I couldn't imagine going through the stuff that I've gone through and not being a believer. So that's one thing that's kept me strong. Another thing is, like you guys said, my mom, the way she brought me up. And that's been another major part in my life for me to be able to forgive somebody for doing that to not only me, but to my whole family,
Chris, in that same story in the Register Guard, one of the things that they pointed out is that you've kind of taken on this mantle of being able to talk about stuff like you just said with people around you in baseball, and being able to do that in the minor leagues. Now you're going to be traveling a ton of places. You make the climb from Eugene. Next year you're going to be in South Bend. You're going to be all these different spots, and you get to tell that story and you get to have an impact on people's lives. And that's something that, from everything everybody has ever read about your mom or your dad, would be the thing that they would want most from you. So how to take on that mantle and be somebody who can be more than just baseball, it's a lot of responsibility to assume, but it seems like you're so eager to do that. How has that been your first foray into that as a professional player?
I think it's amazing. It's a great opportunity for me to not really just to be just in the Southeast, but be all over this country, and to talk to people. Like the other day, a little kid came up, and when I signed somebody's ball, I signed my signature, and next to my signature, a part of it says love. It says love is stronger than hate. I put love in the greater sign and then hate. And when little kids will come up to me and ask me for that, and their parents will smile and give me a nudge and say thanks for the message, that kind of stuff warms my heart. After the game, whether I went 0 for 4, 4 for 4, whatever happened, when I see a parent smile and say thank you for that message, it really warms my heart.
And how much respite do you find in baseball? Watching a press conference you gave after the tragedy, you said how the baseball community had kind of wrapped up in you. I know you got a chance to go to Yankee Stadium afterwards and got to take some swings there. The Yankees kind of embraced you. They even sent a message after you were drafted by the Cubs that it didn't matter what team you were in. They were just happy to see you in pro ball. How have you been able to find, a community in baseball that's kind of wrapped you up and helped you through all of this?
Well, I feel like baseball is a little different than any other sport, as you guys may know yourselves. We hang out all day, every day. So we're hanging out a lot. I get to talk to my teammates, become friends, and stuff like that. So not only just like a lot of my teammates, some of them don't even know about my story. They don't know. So when they hear, they're like, "Oh my gosh, man, I never knew." Like they're like, "Dude, I got so much more respect for you than I had before." Just joking around, but no, I think it's been great, just to hang out with them guys every single day. And if they know about my story, they know, and if not, then some don't,
Chris, we'll end on a few more lighthearted ones so we can talk some fun baseball stuff before we get out of here. As a professional now, only a handful really of games under your belt compared to what you'll have played by the time this is all done, hopefully 15 years from now. But through 29 games, what has been the moment where you said to yourself, "Oh man, I'm a professional baseball player now"? Everybody, it seems like, has one of those moments where it's like, "This is tough" or "This is amazing." What was that for you?
I'd probably say my first home run. I hit one when I was in Arizona, and I was feeling pretty good at the plate. And when I hit my first home run, like all the news stations and stuff back home were texting me, calling me, and tweeting at me. And I called my little brother and texted my little sister. And that moment right there, I'd probably say was the moment I'm like, wow, I'm a professional baseball player now.
There's a really cool picture too that Chris has. Just real quick, Chris has on his Twitter photo just a ball. The ball from his first pro hit is a really, really cool photo too. Sam, go for it.
Well, no, because Reese Hoskins the other day talked about how he forgot how he was running around the bases when he hit his first major league homer. So, Chris, please tell me you remember like you took a good long trot going around that first homer at the AZL, and something you can remember at least forever.
Yeah, I definitely gave it a good look when I hit it because I know I squared it up. But no, I ran around the bases it was kind of surreal, I ran around the bases just like I would any other time.
Well, and the problem is when you're fast, when speed is one of your top graded tools, it makes it, I would imagine, a lot more difficult to go for like the David Ortiz 40-second home run trot.
Yeah, I don't think I had enough bombs to be able to do that 40-second trot.
Chris, couple more for you. We'll get you out of here. One player in baseball you would love to face. You're in the Cubs organization now. Might get a chance in spring training to see John Lester or Jake Arrieta or whoever. Who is one guy you'd want to step in the box against?
One guy I want to step in the box in my organization or just
anywhere in professional
Anywhere in
baseball.
Yeah.
Anywhere. I'd probably say Chapman because he throws so hard. Just to be able to stand in the box, I feel like 10 years from now I could say I got to hit against Chapman.
That's pretty.
That is a really good one. Not a whole lot of people would choose the 105-mile-an-hour fastball to go against, but I very much admire that. All right, last thing for you, Chris. When you got the call that you were drafted, you were cleaning pools with a pool cleaning business that you have back home. Now you're a professional baseball player. So the question is, does the pool cleaning business stay open? And if so, are you just going to make your little brother do all of it? Because that's the point of little brothers, right?
Yeah, that is the point of little brothers. If he wants to make some money, he can definitely be a part of it. But no, me and my high school teammate, we both own it together, and he's been holding down the fort for me since I've been gone. But yeah, I still own the business, and it's actually doing pretty decent back in Charleston. We got great weather there. So yeah, but if my little brother wants a job, he definitely can start cleaning some pools.
Is he gonna have to apply? Like, are you gonna make him? All right, Caleb, you got like the whole thing laid out.
Nah, I don't think you have to apply. I mean, unless I think I might just give him a couple dollars here and there.
There you go.
He is Chris Singleton. He's on Twitter at @csingleton_2. You can find him there. And man, just an incredible head on your shoulders, Chris. And congratulations on all the success so far. A whole ton of people, us included, pulling for all the best for you as this professional train gets rolling. And best of luck the last few weeks of this 2017 season and on into Instructs, man. Enjoy it.
Thank you. God bless.
The Arizona Diamondbacks were back in the Major League Baseball postseason this year, moving past the wild card game in the National League to an NLDS berth where they lost to the eventual league champion Los Angeles Dodgers. And the D-backs' future is pretty bright in some spots in the minor league ranks as well. And one of those spots is Diamondbacks pitching prospect Jon Duplantier, who joined us after the season ended to talk about his breakout campaign in which he posted a 1.39 ERA over 136 innings pitched and was named our Milby Award winner for top starting pitcher in 2017.
Where we are joined by the number 2 prospect in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, Jon Duplantier, who joins us after a breakout season in his second pro campaign between Class A Kane County and Class A Advanced Visalia in the California League. John, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's great to talk to you. So let's, right out of the gate, congratulations are in order. You are actually right now in Phoenix to accept your award as D-backs Minor League Pitcher of the Year. We're recording this actually on Tuesday. We ordinarily record on Wednesday, but I'm kind of glad that we're doing this one early because we get you in award mode. When did you get this news? How long have you been in Phoenix? You're going to go to the game tonight. The D-backs at home. You'll be honored at that game. What does that mean to you in this your first full pro season, and you already get a chance to be honored like this?
Right. So I guess it's been roughly 2 weeks now. Mike, our farm director, called me. I was at lunch with my mom, so he let me know so I could tell her the news. And I mean, it was just really cool. I was at lunch with my mom. We were just catching up, and I'd just gotten home from the season, and to get another award, she was super excited. She couldn't wait to tell my dad. And I mean, it's fun. The weather out here is nice. So we thought it was gonna be 100-some degrees, and we get out here. Right now it's 70s. So we're walking around in jeans and sweatpants and gonna go to the game tonight and be comfortable, So kind kind of just a bunch of blessings in one for these couple of days.
Well, and at this stage, I mean, you're still so early on in your career. Obviously, a third-round pick in 2016, 89th overall. Last year limited because of your college workload. So you come out, your debut professional season, you put together a year like this, 136 innings, a combined ERA of 1.39 between two levels, a 12-3 record, 24 starts out of 25 total appearances. Coming into, let's say we go back, 6-7 months. We go back to March or to February. Coming into this season, your first full wire-to-wire year in the minor leagues, could you have dreamt of something this good? I mean, obviously your standards are going to be high and you're going to expect a good year, but 12-3 record, 1.39 ERA, 165 strikeouts and 136 innings. I mean, this is dominant stuff. What would you, if you could talk to yourself from back before the season, what do you think your reaction would be to a campaign like this?
If I could have told myself something like this was going to happen, I probably would have told myself to shut up. Like, hey man, quit playing. I'm trying to stay focused. Don't do that. I mean, yeah. I came to spring training, my first spring training and first full season. I kind of just came in, wanted to put my nose to the grindstone and just kind of focus day to day. And I mean, really, it was like the biggest goal was to remain healthy and to get used to a 5-day rotation where I was going out there and making all starts. So, I mean, yeah, the performance was welcomed. Let's just say it wasn't necessarily a thought going into spring training like, man, I'm trying to kill it. It was just, man, let's prove to people we can stay healthy and just make starts and get used to the rotation and the schedule, and everything takes care of itself. But yeah, the 139 that kind of came out of a lot of guys' plans, so that was cool.
And at what point this season did it feel like it could be a special season? I mean, you only gave up one hit in your first outing, 5 scoreless innings against Clinton on April 7th. You get promoted to Visalia, you get a trip to the Futures game, all these things that tell you it's a good season. But, at what point did it really feel special to you?
It felt, it's kind of hard to explain. It never really felt like, or I never really felt like, man, I'm doing something absurd right now. I'm doing something special in a lot of people's eyes right now. It just, to me, it was like I'm just going out and trying to do my job. I'm just trying to help the team I'm on at the time, help them win, prove some doubters wrong, and just, I mean, play baseball to the best of my ability, But when I came out, in college, I didn't have the best command in general. I just kind of was a thrower, and I had success doing it, but I wasn't really a pitcher necessarily in college. And I came out in spring training, and in my first couple outings, I was like, man, I'm not really walking anybody. I'm throwing the ball where I want to. I was like, this could be fun. This could this could get interesting. And so, kind of had that thought in the back of my head. I remember I was having conversations with my dad, and my dad and I, we kind of talk about it like, Dad, I'm throwing the fastball inside when I want to get in. I'm throwing it away when I want to be away. It's not just, hey, let's try and throw a strike here. So once that trend kind of held, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a finesse pitcher right now. It was, things can get pretty cool.
And what allowed that switch to happen? It sounds like something just kind of flipped a switch and you were just like, I can throw the ball where I want now. But what type of work had you done, in that first spring training for you, or in those first couple months, that allowed that command to get so much better this year?
Well, one, body felt great. I very rarely was dealing with anything that was like, man, kind of achy today. Oh, man, I just don't feel great. So I wasn't really thinking about my body. So I was just repeating. I was able to repeat, and I didn't have to take any time off or not throw a certain day, or say, you know what, let me ease off a little bit. So I was able to just kind of go and just worry about the work I was putting in and focus on the work rather than focus on how to get back to feeling good, which, allowed me to kind of fine-tune things, repeat my delivery, stay on top of the ball, hand positioning, working on spin, and kind of developing a confidence in myself and a trust that, okay, I want to throw it there. let's go there and I can get there, haven't always been like that. So once I had this confidence of, you know what, if he sets up there, I'm going to get it there, then it kind of just took off that way. But definitely just, I think the foundation for everything has just been health, feeling good, and knowing I'm feeling good, and that's lifted a burden off of my shoulders, my family's shoulders, I'm sure the D-back shoulders, and everybody's shoulders, so yeah.
John, take us back to the middle of June. You start things off 9 out of your first 10 outings, I think, with Kane County were scoreless starts. And then you get to the meat of the season and you make that jump. And the low A to high A jump is one of the tough ones. High A to double A is a really tough one too, which will be coming up in your future at some point. And to make that jump mid-season for guys in a debut professional season can be really tough as well. But you go out and you have success pretty much right out of the gate with Visalia. What was that experience like to make, not only your first jump, but your first in-season jump and deal with a lot more advanced hitters and still be able to go in and really be able to put together strong outings right from the jump in the California League?
I mean, especially going to the California League where the ball is usually generally a hitter's league, it was a big confidence boost in terms of it was just a reinforcement, not even really a boost, a reinforcement. I got out there and my first outing, I went 2 2/3, walked 5. And so I was like, oh shoot, here we go. But then working with the pitching coach, talking to guys and talking to baseball guys in my life, I was like, man, you know what? They're like, just trust your stuff, go out there and you do what you do. And so I did. And working with Jeff Baginaro, pitching coach in Visalia, I mean, I just was able to learn a lot, I learned even more and kind of took it upon myself, and with the help of Badge, our pitching coach, Vihey, our hitting coach, and Shelly, our manager, it was just, they were willing to teach me when I wasn't pitching and I just wanted to talk in the dugout or before games while I'm watching other teams VP or just any time I had a question, they were willing to answer it for me. And so that just kind of kept me feeling like I had an edge, and just that kept the train rolling for me. And so I was just happy to get that first midseason jump and to keep rolling, because I think that spoke volumes to a lot of people.
You mentioned some of the guys, members of that staff that you get a chance to work with and bounce stuff off of. And when you look at your overall season numbers, not a whole lot of adversity stands out. But obviously, guys are going to go through stuff, especially in a first full season, that, you really got to figure out, all right, well, why did this happen? Why do hitters approach this like this? What am I doing wrong in this given circumstance? What was something that you had to tackle and learn from and try to get better from? Like I said, I mean, the numbers don't really show any situation in which you struggle, but I'm sure there was something that you thought like, all right, this is a new wrinkle. This is something I got to conquer. What was that?
Yeah, it was throwing my off speed for strikes more. It was throwing my off speed strikes. So historically, or back in college, I was a spike curveball guy at Rice, and when I threw that pitch, actually until the second half of this year. So when I got promoted to Visalia, I've never tried to throw a spike curveball for a strike. I never tried to throw a curveball for a strike. It was always I tried to back tip it, back point it in the dirt, swing and miss, and just throw it hard, But I noticed even in low A, guys started to take it. They would take it and hit it in pitcher counts when I was way ahead and kind of work their way back. And so I had to learn how to, 0-0, 0-1. Maybe even 2-2, flip a curveball in there, especially to lefty, freeze them, get a cheap strike. Slider, back foot to lefties. It was something that I need to work on. And then just overall changeups, consistency down. So I guess in all, it's kind of just all my off-speed offerings, throwing them for strikes, throwing them in counts where I can steal a strike from a hitter, like a 2-0 changeup to a lefty, or that 2-2, or like a 2-1 or 0-0 curveball. So, it was kind of like learning to pitch with something other than a fastball.
And I kind of want to get back to something you mentioned earlier about, knowing that you were healthy this year. There's a couple things we should bring up. You had a shoulder injury in college. You had a little bit of an elbow issue last year that didn't allow you to pitch much in your first season in the D-back system. How did you kind of prepare health-wise last offseason, and then, just body maintenance, that kind of thing all season long to keep, not only pitching well, but pitching deep into the season and seeing the season out, throwing 137 innings like you did?
Yeah, so I work out at a gym in the off season, Fairchild Sports Performance in Houston, and they that's actually who I credit to helping me get healthy after the shoulder injury in college. And they're big on education. So when you're going through workouts, or say it's more of a rehab thing like it was when I first started there, they teach you as you're doing it. So, I mean, I was a kinesiology major at Rice, and so I kind of had a minor background. I took anatomy, I took physiology, so I kind of have a general understanding about how the body works. But then the trainers at this gym, they're teaching you they're teaching it while you're going through it, so you know why you're doing certain things, and that was big for me because in order for me to stay healthy, there's certain muscles, certain movements that my body's going to have to continue to make over the course of a long season. And if I stop being able to do those movements, or those muscles stop working, that's when injury comes. So just the overall education over an off season, while putting in the work, the vigorous work that we're doing, it's just, it all complements each other. I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm doing in the off season carries into the season for me. With arm care, which the D-backs, I feel like they've done a great job with me. I have no complaints. I actually love the arm care and the stuff we do after we throw. So it's all been working for me, and we're going to keep that train rolling, hopefully.
And I just want to go to one other thing I think you said earlier was, coming into the year, you wanted to prove the haters wrong. Where exactly were you feeling that pressure from, or seeing that coming from? And, what were you trying to prove wrong about what you had seen or heard coming into the year?
It wasn't anything necessarily, I guess, personal towards me. But I mean, guys, when we come from college, we're proud of where we come from. I'm proud to be a Rice Owl, and to hear, I mean, whatever your stance is on Rice pitchers in pro ball and the history we have, I made it a personal goal of mine to kind of alleviate that, it gets old hearing that. And so I wanted to prove that, listen, I can stay healthy. I can stay healthy, and I can pitch, and we're gonna make it. And I'm gonna, hopefully the blue and white can get a little bit off their some people off their backs, because it's stressful while you're there. You kind of hear it, and it may not take a toll directly, but the stress of hearing that, and the stress of hard classes, hard education. I mean, you don't really know how that affects a college athlete. So, I want to prove that Rice pitchers can stay healthy. I want to prove that I can stay healthy just because of my injury history. And, I want to treat the D-backs right and pitch for them because they give me this opportunity.
Well, and that leads into another topic that I noticed. Obviously, getting a chance to talk to you, it's obvious what a cerebral guy you are, a kinesiology major, taking all these classes that are a really hefty workload in college. And one of the notes on your bio page at riceowls.com is that you picked Rice over Yale for your college ball. And so many guys, go with the notion of, I want to obviously get my education, but this is a road for me into pro ball, whatever. It's pretty plain and evident that the education thing is a big component of what you were able to do at Rice and what you would have been able to do at Yale had you gone that route. How difficult was that to juggle that, though, going to a place where that academic workload is going to be so tough, in addition to playing in a really competitive, really good program? What was it like being able to juggle that as a college athlete?
My freshman year was rough, really rough. And every now and then you have athletes that come in and they do really well, but freshman year is tough. You learn how to, it's that cliche that they always say, you have to be able to manage your time and time management. And make sure you block out time to study and do your sports. And I mean, it was hard. I think my first full season, my GPA dropped down to 2.9 maybe, and then that kind of, I mean, my parents were about to whoop me. They wanted to, they were all over. And but then you kind of start to slowly figure things out, just like you do in anything when you do it enough, and you start to figure out, okay, no, I can't go play ball at the rec. I really have to study. If I can get some good studying today in between classes instead of going and just hanging out in the locker room, if I go to the library or to the athletic center where we have study hall, if I can get this work in now, then I can hang out later. So you kind of just learn to take your losses in the study battle when you can, and they do a really good job. I feel like Rice does a pretty good job of providing the tools and the assistance needed for athletes there. I mean, if I ever needed advice, I could go to her name is Julie, our academic advisor, and she would give the advice she could. And so you never felt like you were drowning, but you definitely were doggy paddling for your life above water.
And some people will hear, oh man, 2.9 GPA at Rice, like that's nothing. I'd be fine with that. John in high school had a 4.32 GPA on the 4 scale. So I think when you go like, 30% over the top possible mark, you can get fairly good academic record. John, we're jumping around a little bit, but let's go back again over the summer. You get a chance to go to the Futures game and take a part in a historic. Every year it's a historic event because 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now we're going to see so many of those dudes making big impacts in the major leagues. We already have with some of the guys who were in that game, but that experience is so unique and so powerful for the guys who get to be a part of it. For you being on that pitching staff is one thing, but to be on that roster as a whole with so many guys who, Rhys Hoskins was the cleanup hitter in that game for the U.S. lineup. He's off setting rookie marks all over the place now, his first month plus in the big leagues. Take us through that experience and what that was like to be a part of that.
It was one of the coolest things in my life, baseball-wise for sure. That's something that not a lot of people get to experience, and it's hard to put in words because, everybody kind of asks, like, how was it? And the only thing you can say is, dude, it was amazing. You're sitting there for a couple days, and you're treated like a big leaguer. You're treated like a big leaguer, and you're sitting there, and everybody on the team is a stud. You're hanging out with studs all day, and guys who are about to make a big league impact, who maybe already got called up. So it's just a lot of stories, a lot of camaraderie. I still keep in touch with a couple guys from the team, from the USA team and the world team. So, it was just an experience that really you can't just draw that up without getting experience.
All right, and we'll leave you on this one. Flash forward to January. It's cold. Baseball season is a little bit away, but this season's also a little bit behind you, preparing for 2018. How are you going to look back on this year and kind of remember it by? Like, what's the one moment or one thing you're going to take away from this year and kind of hope it sets you up as a foundation for, hopefully a long career to follow?
Probably the overall consistency I had, and not necessarily with the lower ERA, the low ERA or the amount of hits or anything like that. It's mainly for a majority of the year, I was confident in myself. I felt I was healthy. My body felt really good, especially at the end of the season. My body felt better than it did when I was leaving spring training, and just like over the whole year, how I was able to get better, and I was able to learn and develop, so the consistency of just, I don't know the one word that can describe it all, but the consistency that I was confident in my performance, just something along those lines, and that feeling that I had about it, I would just think, okay, if I can feel like this and I can kind of remain as close to that as possible, and I can remain consistent like that and keep throwing the ball I want and keep my body feeling good, the good things are going to happen down the road. So next season it'd be really easy for me to go in and try to recreate the numbers I had, the ERA and just everything, the whip, whatever it is. But that I got to make sure that's not my goal, and just kind of like the feeling that I had. So as long as I can keep that feeling, good stuff will happen.
He is John Duplantier, the number 2 ranked prospect in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization, according to MLB Pipeline, and you can find John on Twitter at DupeDUP_. There it is. If you are looking for an indication of how John's D-backs organization teammates feel about his 2017, Sam McWilliams, a teammate with Class A Kane County, tweeted last week, quote, 2017 offseason plan, call at Dupe, there it is, every day, and do what he's doing. So that's pretty good. Seems like a smart idea. John, this has been fantastic, man. Congratulations on a heck of a breakout year. Enjoy every minute of tonight in Phoenix, getting honored for your work, and best of luck. We'll be talking to you down the road.
All right, thank you.
It's not often that you hear about a prospect going from any level of Class A and making it up 3 or more levels to the major leagues in one season, but that's exactly what happened to the Baltimore Orioles organization this year with catcher Austin Hayes, who started his campaign with Class A advanced Frederick, climbed up to AA Bowie, leapfrogged AAA Norfolk entirely, and made his major league debut this year. And Austin Hayes joined us at the end of the major league season to talk about his whirlwind campaign to making his debut in 2017.
Orioles prospect Austin Hayes, who joins us after yet another terrific season, 2 times through in the minor leagues, since being selected in the 3rd round of the Major League Baseball first-year player draft in 2016. 2 great seasons. Austin, coming off your first full year, how is the start to the offseason treating you so far?
Oh, it's great. The drive home wasn't too good, but I'm glad to be off my feet and just sitting around relaxing, enjoying all my family and company.
Well, and being a guy who is a Florida product, this has been a tumultuous last few weeks, few months. How off the field, how is everything family-wise, your hometown, everybody that you know? What have the last few weeks been like for you? It's been kind of rough all over the place, it feels like, with weather and natural disasters and everything.
Yeah, we were kind of blessed in a really hard time. No one had any serious injuries, or they had no one had any bad damages to their house or anything like that, so everybody came away okay. Just a little bit of flooding, but nothing nearly as bad as what it could have been.
Well, that's the best possible outcome that you could hope for, and now getting a chance to get into the offseason. Like you said, you have a bit of an opportunity to relax, and this is now 2 seasons, 1 full season through in minor league ball since going in the 3rd round in 2016. But this year, if you can have a breakout first full pro season, this was it. 2 levels, Class A advanced with Frederick, AA with Bowie, and then your major league debut. Did you ever imagine coming out of school just over a year later you could be in the big leagues for 20 games?
No, I wouldn't have said it was going to happen that fast.
So take us through the jump in levels. You go to get started at Frederick, tough level, tough league, but you dominate there, 328, 364, 592 your slash line. Then you jump up to Bowie, you get a little bit better there. To make an in-season jump, and then all of a sudden get told you're going to the major leagues. What were the emotions of that climb like over this summer?
There's a lot of happiness, just going from level to level and getting to experience the difference in the competition, even just the difference in the age group of most of the guys that I'm around. But it was a lot of smiles, man. It just gave me a lot of confidence knowing that the Orioles believed in me enough to move me up that quick. And, I feel like I did my part, and I just gave my all every day. And once again, they trusted me enough to call me up, and I got to experience that this year too. So it was unbelievable.
Well, even going back to what Tyler was talking about in terms of Frederick and Bowie, what stood out to me about your season was just how incredibly consistent you were. You hit 328 at Frederick. You hit 330 at Bowie. You hit 16 homers at Frederick, 16 at Bowie. You had an OPS of 956 at Frederick, an OPS of 960 at Bowie. What allowed you to be so consistent this year, no matter the competition you were facing, specifically in the minors?
Yeah, I think it was my routines that I had developed from coming out of college. I had a good foundation and a base for what I wanted to do on a daily basis, get my body feeling right, get my swing feeling the same, and then actually being able to experience playing every single day this year with no injuries or anything like that. Being able to get into those feelings was a lot easier than it was in college or even in short season last year, because I went through a wrist injury that had me out for 6 weeks. So, I mean, the biggest part of it for me, I feel like, was just playing every single day. It was easier to stay in those grooves once I found what was working and what felt right. The routines just helped me a lot.
And particularly when it came to power, at what point did it feel like it was going to be a special season? I mean, you hit 3 home runs in April and then kind of launched out from there, hitting 7 the next month and 6 the month after that in the Carolina League. What allowed you to create the power that you did? Your 32 homers were tied for second most in the minor leagues this year. How do you kind of explain what happened in that department?
Yeah, I would say I started off a little bit slower at the beginning of the year. My timing was good on the fastball, but I was swinging and missing at a lot of breaking balls, and I just didn't have that click or whatever it was that was allowing me to make solid contact on off-speed pitches. But I had that 3 home run game against Potomac, and for whatever reason, there was something that happened in that game that something clicked, and it just allowed me to recognize fastballs and breaking balls, and I was putting equally as powerful swings on both. And kind of talk about what's different about you now as a pro hitter than what you were as a college hitter. I mean, I know you had pretty good last year with Jacksonville that allowed you to be a 3rd-round pick, but being a 3rd-round pick, lots of teams, everybody got at least one look at you, if not more, coming into the draft. And then I think after the season you put up this year, any team would love to have you, any system would love to have you. What type of different player are you now as a pro than you were in college? I mean, if you go back and look at the numbers, they were basically identical to my junior season I had as well. So I think my biggest jump was from my sophomore year to my junior year. And once again, it was just the ability to hit off-speed pitches better than I was doing before. I've always been able to hit a fastball, but when I started tapping into that my junior year, that really allowed me to take my game to another level. And since I've gotten drafted and gotten into pro ball, I've taken a lot of pride in my defense and my base running and all those other small things that you can work on a daily basis. And since I'm getting more reps now and playing every single day, I feel like those small parts of my game have progressed even more. And it's just helping me become a better player every single day.
Austin, let's talk defensive work. I know the vast majority of publications looking at the 2016 draft for the O's said you were the best athlete, maybe the best pure hitter, the best defensive player, and so often we get sucked into just talking about offensive work. But defensively, you hold down center field for the vast majority of your time. And Frederick, you get some time in the corners, and Bowie, you get some time in the corners in the big leagues. What was the adaptation like at the professional level to being a strong defensive outfielder and being able to play kind of all around wherever you're needed in a defensive setup?
Yeah, I would say the biggest part is, most days we're going to take batting practice on the field, and you can take as many fly balls off a fungo or a machine as you want, but it's just not the same as the spin of the ball, how fast it comes off a bat. So just getting live reads and BP every single day at different positions, playing at different depths, trying to get reads off different types of hitters, power hitters, righties, lefties at each position. So just going through that process every single day was something that I took a lot of pride in, and I really wanted to get better, and I wanted to get better at all positions. So when the time came and I needed to play somewhere, I'd be prepared for it.
One of the things I've heard guys talk about getting into pro ball, especially guys who come from smaller colleges or come from the high school level, is that playing in different stadiums with different crowd backdrops can play a factor as you try to get adjusted to playing the outfield at the professional level. Because like you said, you can take as many fly balls and BP and all that, but you're still taking them against a solid color backdrop of empty seats. When fans fill in, it changes up that vision entirely. Did that play a factor at all when you first kind of get in, you play in front of some big crowds, and you're sort of having to adjust to that all across these different levels where you go?
Yeah, for sure. as much as your mind and your body has to adjust to things, so do your eyes. You know, the lights are a lot higher, so it's, in one aspect, it's easier to see the fly balls because when they go up the twilight time of the night, you know, the third, fourth inning, when in most minor league stadiums, there's going to be a 15 to 20 minute span where everyone's going to struggle to see a fly ball in the outfield. You don't really have that twilight time as much anymore in any of these big league parks because the lights are so high and they're so good. But like you were saying, there's that third deck that, I mean, most guys, unless you played at a really big time school and maybe played in the College World Series or something like that where there were a ton of fans, you've never experienced it before. So it's definitely something that is different at first, but your eyes adjust quick and you kind of learn how to just pick up the ball a little better than you were when you first got out there.
And Austin, I kind of want to revisit your time in the majors. Just starting off with when you found out you were making the jump. I know you said earlier you weren't expecting at all for it to come this quickly, your major league debut. Your season wraps in the Eastern League. You hit a home run, I think was your last hit for Bowie at Richmond. Probably think you're ending your year on a high like that. And then you're going up to Baltimore the next day, or at least the transaction went through the next day on the September 5th. What was that discussion like? How did you find out you were going to be making the jump this quick?
Yeah, so, we finished that game and we were going to the playoffs. So we had practice the next day on our off day, and then we were going to play our first playoff game the following day. So I had practice at 12. I got done. I came back to my apartment. I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and we were looking up movie times. We were going to go to dinner and go see the new It movie, the clown movie that came out. So we were going to go watch that, go see a scary movie. So we're kind of deciding on that, and I think it's 3:30, 3:45 in the afternoon or something. And I get a call on my phone. It was our manager from Bowie, Gary Kendall, and he's like, "Hey man, are you sitting down?" I'm like, Yeah, what's going on? He's like, well, you should stand up, pack up your stuff. You're going to Camden Yards tonight. You need to get there by 6. Like, well, it's 3:45. Let's get rolling. It was chaos, man. It was hectic. Trying to get there, going through traffic, didn't know where to park or anything. It was crazy, but it was awesome. The feeling of when he said that and just how it hit me so deep, it was a great experience.
From Bowie to Camden Yards, 45 minutes as of right now on Google Maps, and I would think like afternoon traffic. Like, how stressful is that? A, and B, when you show up, if you don't know where you're going, do you just like drive up to a security guard and be like, "Hey, my name's Austin Hayes. I just got called up to the big leagues." Like, does anybody believe you? How does that even work?
Yeah, that's what was funny because so I started calling some of the other guys. I'm like, "Hey, can you send me the address to the players' parking lot?" 'Cause, I mean, I wouldn't know where to go to find it, and that's where our entrance is. And I have all my stuff, so I drove to Bowie, packed up all my equipment. Like, my sliders and my socks are dirty from practice earlier that day. They haven't gotten washed yet, so I'm carrying a bag with my dirty stuff, my bag with my equipment, and so I got the address to that. But I wasn't supposed to tell anybody until I had signed my papers making me active. And someone, I think one of the reporters or something, leaked it and it got on Twitter. So my friends, family, everyone found out. I'd told my mom, but like some of my closer friends, and they were all calling me, blowing up my phone, and I'm trying to look at my GPS to see where I'm going. So I'm hitting exit and decline, trying to get the screen off. My phone's about to turn off because everyone's blowing it up. It was crazy, man. It was chaos, but it was awesome.
That's a good lesson, I think, for everybody. If your friend ever gets called up, just hold off on the congratulations.
Wait. That's like a good argument for like.
Yeah.
It's a good argument for like the Tom people.
Mix in a text. Yeah, mix in a text or something every couple days, or just wait a little bit for him. He's got all kinds of stuff going on too.
That's a good argument for the people who used to make like the dashboard mounted GPS. Like, you don't have to worry about that with those. They should start using that. Just market directly to guys getting called to the big leagues.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the old Tom.
Exactly.
So you
stick it to the dash.
So you get called up the 5th, and then your first game, the first at bat you take is on the 7th, and it didn't seem like you were getting that much playing time early on. You only had like 3 games played, and at that it was pinch hit duty or coming in late in the games. How did you kind of handle that? Showing up, being told you were a major leaguer, but getting very sporadic playing time, at least very early on.
I was basically just trying to keep the same mindset as if I was playing, if I was in the lineup. Just focus on what the outfielders were doing, what each hitter was doing in their at bat. So if I did get in the game, I would know where to play if that person was up. And I was looking at the scouting reports, looking at who might come in the game, who's warming up in the pen. If I do get a possible at bat, I kind of understand what he might try to do to me or what kind of pitches he has. So I just kind of tried to have a manager's mindset, I guess you would say. Kind of just running through scenarios in my head so that I'd be prepared for anything.
And did you have any conversation with Buck Showalter about that? Just about hey, what should I be doing right now? Or him telling you, listen, this is my plan for you right now. Was there any conversation on what your role was going to be, at least early on?
No, not necessarily. I was welcomed in by everyone, all the staff and all the players, and I wasn't sure what my role was going to be. I just knew I was there and I was going to be wearing a jersey. And so, I wasn't playing the first couple of days, and they had told me in, the 8th inning, 9th inning in a couple games, hey, if so-and-so gets on, you're going to run for him. So I'd gotten the gist, okay, well, I'll make sure I'm ready to run for somebody or ready to pinch hit late in the game if there's a matchup thing that's going on. And I got the opportunity for a start, and then I got another one a couple days later. So when I was showing up to the park every day, I had the mindset that I was going to start that day, just so that I was locked in from the get-go.
Awesome. Let's go back.
Didn't have any.
Oh, go ahead.
We didn't necessarily have any talks like this is what you're going to be doing while you're here, or anything like that. Nothing like that.
Let's go back to a moment that you'll never forget, your family's never going to forget, and it's the thing that everybody dreams about. But you get on September 16th a game that doesn't go the way for you guys that you would have liked it to have gone. It's a loss in New York, but you're at Yankee Stadium, and you crank your first major league home run. It comes in the 9th inning against Chase and Shreve. It's a late season game, but there are 40,000 people there that night, and a dream moment is a dream moment. I mean, take us through just what that felt like. It doesn't come at home, it doesn't come in a win, but it's still that moment in your life. What do you remember about that?
I know that I'd had a few at bats by that point, and I hadn't gotten any hits up till that point. So I got the start, and I got a hit my first at bat, and I just felt like I could take a breath. Oof. Like all the little voices you had going in your head, and you haven't gotten a hit yet, this and that. That all went away, and then I just went to focusing on the game, focusing on my at bat. And then I got that last at bat. I think I was 1 for 3 up till that point. And he threw a first pitch, change up or splitter, something soft. It bounced. 1-0 count. I was like, all right, just do something up, get something good to hit. And when I hit it, I was like, oh man, I hit that pretty good, but I know it was to right center. So I was running hard out of the box, watching it, and I saw a Judge, stop running right when he got to the track, and I watched it go over, and it felt the same, honestly, jogging around the bases. But after the game, when I was thinking about it, it was kind of crazy to believe it actually happened.
So, do you actually remember going around the bases? I think Reese Hoskins may have said, I completely blanked on running. That just seems like such a natural thing. You're just running around the bases, but that's your first time ever getting to do that. Did you make sure to remember that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I can remember going around the base. I think the thing that's always going to stick with me about that moment was of all of the people that could have been on base, or any of the organizations I could have been with, J.J. Hardy was he was ahead of me on base when I hit it. So when I touched home plate, the first person that was right there for me to give a high five to was J.J. Hardy. It's someone that I've grown up watching for the longest time. And he's done a lot for the Royals organization. The guy, I mean, he's been one of the best for a while now. So for me to have that acknowledgement from him for my first home run in Yankee Stadium, that's a moment I'll never forget, touching home plate and just giving knuckles to him,
And we don't get a chance to, because this is obviously a minor league podcast, we don't get the chance to talk to guys who have been in the majors yet. Usually by the time they get there, they're no longer prospects by the end. So I wanted to ask somebody that it's at least played Major League Baseball this year. One of the stories of the year was obviously powers up across the board. Part of the reason behind that might be the ball is slightly different. You're not a pitcher, you're not handling the ball as much, and you don't know how it necessarily the inner workings of it are. But how different is it to handle a ball, to hit a ball at the major league level as compared to the minors this year? What were your experiences playing with two different sets of balls in 2017?
I feel like the ball here is harder and the laces are smaller, so I can throw it. I feel like I can throw it harder and farther from the outfield. I can get more backspin on it. And then as far as hitting goes, I mean, I'm pretty sure the ball is definitely going farther in batting practice than it was when I was in the minor leagues. I mean, even the batting practice balls are harder and better. But
so is that something you guys talk about?
Harder. I would say I wouldn't. No, it's nothing we talk about. It's just not a huge difference, but you can notice a difference.
Fair enough. And we'll leave you on this one. You're now preparing for the off season. This one's obviously going to be different than last year, knowing you are preparing for an off season in which you could be competing for a big league job immediately from spring training. How does just this moment right now, this after season moment feel, and how different do you expect this off season to be in terms of how you're going to train and how you're going to kind of work towards, the day when you have to report to spring training in February?
Yeah, I mean, it feels great to be home and just enjoy my family's company. That was my first full season, so that's the longest I've ever gone without seeing a lot of my family and friends. So it's great to be home with them right now. I'm going to enjoy it for a couple of weeks and let my body recover. But as far as the training itself goes, I mean, I'm not going to change much. What I did last off season worked very well for me. My body held up well. I felt strong. I felt healthy. And I mean, I really got after it. I really worked hard. So I don't feel like I can work any harder than I did last off season. But if I can match what I did, I think I'll be perfectly prepared and I'll be ready for what spring training brings.
He is Austin Hayes, the second-ranked prospect in the Baltimore Orioles organization, number 88 overall in MLB.com. MLB Pipeline's rankings of the top 100 prospects out of the 2017 season. And Austin, congratulations on all the success this year, and thanks a ton for joining us, and best of luck over the offseason and into 2018, man. We'll be watching.
Yeah, thanks again. Thank you guys for having me.
And our last voice that you'll hear from in this year's Best Of edition for the Show Before the Show podcast from MILB.com, an interview that you actually may have listened to just within the last few weeks. Anthony Alford, the third-ranked prospect in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. We got a chance to go down to the Mexican Pacific League and catch up with Anthony Alford. It's not often that we get to go international with the Show Before the Show podcast, but the Blue Jays' third-ranked prospect who made his major league debut this year playing for the Charros de Jalisco in the Mexican Pacific League was kind enough to join us and talk about baseball below the border for the off season and what he's prepping and getting ready for, setting his eyes on another breakout campaign and hopefully a lot more time in the major leagues in 2018.
Toronto Blue Jays prospect Anthony Alford, who joins the show from Jalisco, Mexico, where he is manning center field and a little bit of left field in game number 1 this season for the Charros de Jalisco. Anthony, welcome to the show. How's the Pacific League treating you so far?
It's going good so far. Weather's nice, a lot nicer than it is back at home. Also awesome scenery, awesome people. So baseball is fun over here. So not that it's not fun at home, but it's a different environment over here at the baseball games. It's an awesome experience.
Well, just for reference's sake, right now in Toronto, we'll get a an idea of just what the contrast would be between Mexico and where Blue Jays fans may be hearing you. But I would assume in Toronto, it's like, the middle of death winter. Right now, it's apparently 37 degrees there Fahrenheit, which is like 0 Celsius, right? I think if my math is correct. And in Mexico, I would think, maybe a little bit better. So if you could gloat to Blue Jays fans about what it's been like, then there you go. No, but tell us about it, because the Caribbean leagues are such a different atmosphere. You've played a lot of off-season ball already in your career. You played in the Australian Baseball League in 2014, 2015. You went to the Arizona Fall League. And now being down in Mexico, just how different is that experience? The cheering sections are nuts. The ballparks are sold out. They're loud. They're intense atmospheres. What has that experience been like for you?
It's been awesome. I feel like it's easier to get up for the games, and it's easier to be motivated, and you look forward to getting on the field every day and competing. By far, this is probably the best experience that I've had on winter ball. So it's awesome to see how they do things over here, and at the same time, I get to see how those guys feel whenever they come to the States, even though they can't speak much English, and having to have translators, and so I get to kind of see how Latin players feel when they get to come to the States. So I'm loving the experience.
Yeah, well, the numbers certainly back that up the way you're playing so far. You're batting .367 through the first 12 games with an .862 OPS. What's allowed you to kind of hit the ground running, through these first dozen games down there, and what's allowed you to take to that league so well?
I just try to pick up where I left off, and during the season, and I have a few things that I had in mind coming down here that I wanted to work on, and I'm just getting to work on those things. We have some good hitting coaches here, some good ball players, and just trying to be willing to learn every day, try to learn something new, and just continue to try to get better. And like I said, it's an awesome atmosphere. It's a lot easier to compete and perform and put up numbers in this atmosphere because you're excited to play every day, opposed to like trying to do it somewhere like the Florida State League or rookie ball where you don't really get many fans. So it's awesome. It's awesome. A lot of awesome people over here.
Yeah, and when you say you were going down there with specific goals or specific things to work on, what were those specific things?
For me, I'm just kind of, because I'm leading off down here, and I haven't led off all year. During the season, I batted 3-hole most of the time during the season this year. So just kind of getting back into that leadoff role, and some things mechanically that I wanted to work on, kind of opening up pull side, and just wanted to play around with some stuff, and that way when I go into spring training, I know where I need to be and what I need to do to get ready for the season.
And when it came up that you were going to be going to Mexico, was this a Jays decision? Was this something you brought to them? I mean, how did this come up? Obviously, you missed a bunch of time this year. We haven't mentioned yet, recovering from a left wrist injury, a hamate injury. So a lot of this is making up for lost at bats. But how did that conversation get going about you going down to Mexico?
Well, when I came, I think sometime in August, I talked to Gil Kim, our farm director, and he communicated with my agent, and I just told him I wanted to go play some winter ball somewhere and try to make up some of that bats I lost, and just get that opportunity to pretty much to make up the bats. And I wanted to play that because I always feel better like coming off of an off season where I played some kind of winter ball, going into spring training. I always feel a lot better in spring training. So I just wanted to get those at bats and just continue to try to perfect my craft. And it was obviously something that the Blue Jays had to approve, but it's something that I wanted to do.
Anthony, what's the roster mix been like down there? It's so interesting when you look at, kind of across the spectrum of winter leagues, you get a mix of guys who are at all different stages of their careers. I mean, you're an up-and-coming guy. Jabari Blash, the Padres organization, is down there as part of that Jalisco roster. Chris Colabello, who has been in the big leagues. Rico Noel is down there. Jared Saltalamacchia is on that roster. I mean, there's so many guys that you've heard about that come from very different stages of their baseball lives, and you all get down to a place where where, like you said, you don't speak the language. It's a very different atmosphere for you guys as ball players. Everybody coming together like that, what has that been like?
It's been awesome, and I think it's going to help me mentally, especially long term, as far as having like those veteran guys who've been in the bigs for a while. And I just think it's everybody have a different mindset because everybody's at different stages in their career, and everybody's down here for different reasons. And like I don't know what Saltalamacchia reason is or Colabello, but I know what my reason is for being down here. But it's awesome also getting around those veteran guys, getting to pick their brains and try to learn from them. Not just the physical part of the game, but the mental part of the game. But it's definitely a totally different locker room environment with the mature guys, older guys.
For those of you who don't know Anthony's story prior to, maybe this interview or hearing about him over the last couple of years in the Blue Jays system, drafted as a third-round selection of the Blue Jays back in 2012, played some college football, and then decided in 2014 going into 2015 that it was going to be baseball full-time. And that offseason, Anthony, the Blue Jays send you to Australia. You go down to Canberra, play 37 games for the Cavalry over there, and it was kind of your first real day-in, day-out experience with baseball. Up until that point, I think you'd only played maybe 25 games or so in the minor leagues. And the ABL was probably a good transition because you're only playing over weekends. It's not the same grind of a short season league, 70 games, or full season league, 140. But now, a few years removed from that, if you could go back and kind of talk to yourself when you got started in your first winter ball experience and going into your first full minor league year, what advice do you think you'd give yourself from a few years ago?
Don't be result oriented. Because back then, I mean, you talk about football, it's all about instant gratification. You want to see the results right then. But baseball it's a totally different breed. And so more of don't be result oriented and just committing to the process and just try to focus on getting better every day. But I'm at a totally different stage, obviously, in my career, and a totally different mindset. Like now I have more of a routine established. I know myself more as a baseball player. I know more about my strengths and weaknesses. Like when I was in Australia, I didn't really know anything about myself as a baseball player besides what I'd done in high school. But I can definitely see that I've come a long way. But I would definitely tell myself just don't be so caught up in the results. Just commit to the process.
And speaking of you saying you're a much different player now, part of that equation is that you are a guy now with major league experience. You got your major league debut back in May 19th, getting called up straight from AA New Hampshire. One of the most fun parts of our job is talking to guys about their major league debut and the moment they found out they were getting called up. For you, somebody who had only played as high as the FSL coming into this year, and then a little over a month in New Hampshire in the Eastern League, and then to skip a level and get called up, what was that like making the jump? Just the first part of that, just finding out you were going to be a major league player, especially as a guy who used to be somebody who was trying to be both a college football player and a minor leaguer at the same time.
Yeah. It was definitely awesome. I almost passed out when they told me. It was late one night in Reddington, Pennsylvania, and they told me I was going up, and I thought I was just going to AAA, and I got promoted to AAA. But when they told me I was going to the bigs, it was like I couldn't believe it was happening. It's always something that I wanted to work towards, but just to believe it was happening it was like a dream come true, and like I literally almost passed out when they told me. So it was definitely awesome.
Do you have somebody there to catch you at least, just to be safe?
Yeah. I feel like every team should hire somebody for that job.
Just
somebody creeping up from behind you, just in case.
We was just on a long bus. I really thought I was dreaming because I literally just woke up on a bus when I got off the bus about to get my luggage. Like I'm still, you're in that deep sleep and you feel like you're sleepwalking, and then he give me the news. I'm like, this got to be a dream. And so I'm glad it wasn't a dream. So
nice.
It was good.
Well, you got 4 games in with the Jays, and then unfortunately you had the injury What was it like getting in that major league time, then having that injury so quickly with the left hamate? And what was the rehab process for something like that back? I know you had surgery, but what do you do to try to get back on the field as quick as you can when you have something like that?
For me, I really just try to do what the trainers tell me, because obviously they're more experienced in that area. And my handmade injury, it's pretty simple rehab. It's probably one of the easiest rehabs you ever go through. My strength came back fast, so I was just so anxious to get back on the field. And my trainers told me it's really about your pain tolerance and how fast your strength come back. And so I just went in there and got after it in rehab, but I continued to try to take ground balls and keep my legs in shape. So it was a pretty straightforward rehab.
Anthony, from your perspective right now, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up in that system. According to MLB Pipeline, you're the third-ranked prospect in Toronto's organization, and in front of you are Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette, two guys who turned heads everywhere they were last year, and obviously a little bit behind you in the organization, but the Blue Jays, I think people kind of thought, well, the window's closed at the major league level. They've got guys getting older. It's going to be a while before we see them. I don't know if that's the case, because there is a good amount of talent in that system. For you guys on the inside of it, what does it feel like right now, knowing that you do have some really talented pieces that in your case are knocking at the major league door, and for those younger guys aren't too far off?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how anybody else think, or what's their mindset, but I know those guys are talented. I got to play with them a little bit when I was starting my rehab assignment. And those guys, they can just flat out swing it, and I think they have a bright future. But I'm the type of person, I don't really try to look at what's going on in front of me. I just try to stay in the moment and control what I can control. And at that moment, it was whether it was being in AA New Hampshire or AAA Buffalo, or if I got another opportunity in Toronto. So I just really focused on controlling the place that I was at and staying in that moment and just trying to go day to day. Because whenever I start thinking about, this is happening, or trying to play GM in my mind, then I feel like that's when things kind of start falling apart, because I'm focused on something I shouldn't be focused on. But I think it's a lot of excitement from all the talent within the organization, and I think it's going to be very exciting here in the near future for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into what my next question was going to be, is that, now you are on the 40-man roster. Now you are a guy who doesn't need an invitation to spring training. You're going to be at spring training fighting for a job. Does that change at all how you view this offseason, or how you even view playing in a winter league, that you're trying to show off to your organization that you're ready for another major league try in April? Or is this kind of like a normal offseason for you? How does that kind of change your roster status?
It's
like this.
Really, it's just another off season. Every off season, I just have a mentality that I just don't want anybody to outwork me. I don't want anybody to outcompete me. So I'm just down here really just trying to get better and work on my game. And because no matter what I do, I can only control what I do on the field. I can't control how they set the roster or when they call me up. So I just really just come down here just to work on my game, and whatever happens in spring training, it happens. We'll just deal with it when that time comes. But I don't really get caught up in saying, I'm going into spring training trying to make the team. Obviously, if that happened, that would be awesome. But I just really go into spring training trying to get ready for the season. Wherever I end up, whether it's AAA in Buffalo or Toronto. So wherever I end up, I just want to be ready on opening day.
All right, we'll leave you on this one. One thing you are specifically known for is your speed. People say you're a plus runner, and that translates incredibly well into your defense and center field. The Jays have kind of a special coach for both base running and outfield in Tim Raines, who now is a Hall of Famer. What is your favorite story or favorite lesson you've learned from Rock, and kind of using his knowledge and his skill set and translating that into your own?
Well, for one, I don't know if you've ever been around Rock, but 99.9% of the time, if you're around him, he's either laughing or cracking some kind of joke. But I think the biggest thing that he's helped me with is my confidence. Last year in spring training, We sat down and we talked for probably about an hour and a half, and I felt like he just took me on a journey of his career, and I felt like I was just like I could just picture everything in front of me, and he was just telling me, kid, you got every ability that you need to be successful and have a successful career at the major league level. And just from hearing that come out of his mouth, it automatically gave me confidence. And he just told me what I needed to work on, and continue to talk about my strengths and my weakness, and how I can get better in my weaker areas. And he just to reassure me that that I can play at that level. And for somebody who did it as long as he did and had as much success as he had, it meant a lot coming from him. So I think that'll be the biggest moment that I mean, not everybody can say that they sat there for an hour and a half and talked to a Hall of Famer. That was an awesome experience for me, and I feel like it really helped me a lot this past season.
Anthony Alford of the Charros de Jalisco, currently in the Mexican Pacific League. And just to round this out, a good bookend, it is currently 37 degrees Fahrenheit in Toronto, which translates to about 3 degrees Celsius. Right now in Guadalajara, and the Charros play just outside of Guadalajara, it is 80 degrees, which is about 26.67 degrees Celsius. So take that, Blue Jays fans. You can deal with that as your number 3 prospect. Has a lot of fun south of the border. Anthony, thanks so much for the time, man. Best of luck the rest of the way in Mexico, and we'll be seeing you next year.
All right, thank you.
So that will do it. The best of 2017 from the Minor League Baseball podcast, the show before the show. I know every once in a while, Sam and I get a little misty. We get a little cheesy with how much we really appreciate all of you tuning in. But we say it because we mean it. This podcast would never be possible without all of you guys, the tens of thousands of people who have listened to this podcast, and people who have gotten in touch with us via email and via Twitter, and given us such great feedback and told us how much you love the show and what you like to hear on the show, and prospects you'd like to hear from, and interviews that you enjoyed, and all that type of stuff. We would not be anywhere without those of you who tune in on a weekly basis. And minor league baseball is such an amazing community to be a part of, and minor league baseball fans are some of the most incredible sports fans in existence. And it's been such a privilege for us to get a chance to be a part of your lives, and to bring something kind of new and different to the baseball scene. When we started this podcast up a few years ago, I don't think we ever counted on it taking off the way that it has, but it has been just so much fun for us over the last few seasons, and we're really looking forward to 2018. Before we go, I do want to extend a real special word of thanks to a former member of our team at MILB.com who has moved on to a new role with BAM Tech. Brendan DeRochers was really the catalyst behind getting this podcast started, getting us on our feet, giving us feedback early on, what he wanted to hear, what he wanted this show to sound like, what he wanted it to bring to the site. And without Brendan, we never would have had this opportunity, and he's been a tremendous influence and a tremendous help for both me and Sam, and I know for so many of us at the site as well. And so we wish Brendan all the best in his next venture in his career, and owe him a big debt of gratitude for what he was able to do for us to help us get this thing off the ground and off of our shaky legs and into the air. And so our biggest thanks to him, and our biggest thanks as always to you for tuning in. For Sam Dykstra, I am Tyler Mon. Thanks for joining us for this best of edition for 2017, the Show Before the Show podcast, and we'll talk to you next year.